or here I am. So if anybody is out there, please let us know if you can see and hear me properly. And LPH is on our way downstairs, and we are waiting because we're supposed to be talking to Lou from My Mego Like, and I'm waiting to hear from Lou.
We live?
Yes, we're
Hi,
live.
everybody.
Lou sent me a message. He says he's coming.
Okay.
He's a hair behind schedule.
Okay.
So
Let us know if you can see us and hear us. I know everybody's looking at the YouTube videos, commercials, those great, wonderful commercials that YouTube like to.
You can't escape ads anymore. It's overwhelming.
No, and then some of them now you can't even skip.
Yeah.
You know, and it used to be the commercials would come on at the beginning of the show.
There's Moondust and Gilgamesh.
Hey Moondust, hey Gilgamesh. How are y'all doing? I hope y'all been having a good week so far. We got Brian Sanchez.
Brian, your boy's late.
Yeah, you see how they do. They don't want to answer those hard questions, but that's okay. You know.
Brian, call Lou on the phone, tell him to climb out from under the bed. And
we got Brian Sanchez, we got Donald in the house. Hello, Donald.
And she's got some new ones that she just put on here. You saw them in the last video. Actually, she's
Love
already
patches.
sewn these on.
Yes,
the new ones.
And we got Jacko.
Oh, here comes Lou.
And we got Lou in the background. So and he already talking, and we got to let you in.
Freaking out. It wouldn't get on. I'm like, get on. I'm like, what is it doing every day I come home? I plug it in, it works. It doesn't want to work today. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. We say hello to everybody.
Yeah, as they're pouring in.
Collect yourself while we say hello to everybody.
Brian Sanchez is here, and he's picking on
you. Oh, he said you're going to be late to your own funeral.
Kick out. Kick him out. That is a bad man. Brian Sanchez, notorious all over the country for being bad. Yeah, I would be late to my own funeral. It's terrible.
We got a Retro Stylist here. Hey, Retro Style. And again, we are welcoming Lou.
Mr. Lake.
Lou from My Mego Like. My Mego Like you can find on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can find on Facebook.
Yeah.
And he also has his own webpage dedicated to.
This is very nerve-wracking on the other side.
Migo clones. Migo clone. Let me see if I can get all the way in the shot here.
Oh, sure. This is like it's very nerve-wracking being on the other
side. Because for those of you who are watching who are not aware, Lou he does lives primarily on Facebook. I know you link between the two, but I think it's primarily on Facebook, correct?
Yeah, there's a little bit on YouTube. I started using Restream to hook to both, but most people go on the Facebook. It's a lot easier for them, I think.
Yeah, the chat's confusing.
Yeah, we don't know how to link Facebook, so
I
watch
can
do it. Watch us on YouTube or else. But
yeah. You guys have like 7,500 people or something that are on your YouTube channel. Yeah. It's like crazy. You guys have a ton.
We try.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing it?
Too long. I don't know.
About 7-8 years.
Yeah, and we just put videos up, and then all of a sudden one day it just popped. You know?
People started watching. Oh, okay, see,
there we
go. See a little better that way.
Yes, that works better.
Yeah. So,
you guys are expert with that. You're using a little bit, but you're doing great.
We been messing around with it. You know, we're trying to be professional here, and not so ghetto and everything. Just tape together.
I see you got the thing running across the bottom. You guys got the background on. You guys got it going. You guys are doing good.
Yeah,
where it says Restream, you guys can put your Open by Chance logo up there if you want.
No, you got to pay that money for that. We cheap.
No, for up there? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's like $13 a month. I think they let me put it up there. I let
we
God make up a logo.
We like to buck the system, so we're like, nope. We're gonna go as free as we can
No,
for as
I'm big
long
time.
as
You
we
better
can.
pay me.
We're not like you with our own web page and our own T-shirts and our merchandise and stuff. We're not like
I
that.
wish.
We're not at
I
that level.
wish. Well, for all 72 of my subscribers, I'm making big coin. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I want to get to that level, because they end up being like a shill for the system, which
Yeah.
I've talked about, without making it about us. That's why I bring up Rad Titan a lot, because Rad Titan, he does statue reviews, or it's two guys in the UK, and they do statue reviews, and they were approached by Sideshow, and he came out of the Sideshow meeting saying never, because they said that we'll pay you, we'll give you the statues. Your review is what we tell you it is, and
That's not
any
honest.
negative reviews you have on your channel are to be removed. And he was like, "No, we're done." But
What are they, Disney? What are they,
there are
Disney?
there are a lot of people that will go for that.
Yeah, I mean, for some free stuff, hey, you sell your soul for Amazon gift cards. Come on now.
And that's honestly, and I think that's kind of like that's one of the things. Like I've had some discussions, we'll say, with people who are of a different mindset, we'll say, who are in that. Well, David, you both know, like, there's people who have discussions, and if you don't follow that mindset, you're bad. And I'm like, it's not about being bad, it's about trying to be honest, because not everybody, a lot of people want to sell out. They want the money, or they want to be the toy king, or whatever they want to be. And I'm like, listen, just be honest. If you want that, go ahead, but it's not honest. I mean,
I'm the king. I'm the king.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. We're not even going down that road, because you guys have a nice show. Mine's all about vulgarity. Yours is all nice and everything. So
you keep it family friendly.
Yes, I like that.
Let me ask you, where does the name come from? Why is it Migo Like?
So in 1997, I built a website called the Collectible Action Figures Gallery, which is really long. And you have to remember, back in 97, the internet was still pretty new for people. So I kind of got exposed to toy collecting without realizing it, because my friend took me to a show to meet Adam West and Burt Ward and Julie Newmar. And I saw these Planet of the Apes figures on the table. I'm like, oh, those are cool. I'm like, oh, those look like old garage sale stuff. So I took out a couple dollars. I said, here's, I'll take all those. Here's $3. How's that? He goes, $3. He's like, those are $150 a piece. I'm like, what? That's old junk. And then I'm like, so it kind of like took off from there. But what I noticed back then, when we were talking as groups, it was email. So there was pages, there was web pages out there, but there was no interaction. It was just a web page with pictures, and a lot of them were really nice. But the interaction was in an email group, and the same stuff that goes on today went back there just via email. And one thing I noticed is there was a lot of stuff for me. Well, there's some stuff for Mego. There's a guy who did a really good web page. Scott Rogers did a page called The Boneyard, and it was all Fighting Furies, but it was beautiful. He did a great job. And I stumbled accidentally while browsing into the Gallery Monster Toys, which was Ray Castile's old website, which is still there. He just doesn't update anymore.
Okay.
And I started seeing Tomlins and stuff, and I'm like, oh, these are cool. They're all kind of like Migos. So after the collectible action figures gallery.com, I realized it was too long. And I was like, all right, well, MegoKnockoff.com. It was that at one point. And eventually, I don't know, I tried to get it shorter and shorter and shorter, and went to Migo Like. The word Mego, whether you like the toys or not, seems to drive a lot of people in to look. And it went from just 8-inch knockoff figures to, well, David, the same kind of stuff that you got running around back there. There's just stuff all over the place. I mean, you name it. If it's toy related, I just got there. So yeah, it took a long time to get there, but it was a long time ago. I'm old now.
Yeah.
Very old now.
Oh, okay. So what's the primary interest? Not just Migos themselves, vintage Migos. Let me be more specific. Yeah.
So originally it was like Tomlins. It was Azrak Hamway monsters and Western figures and so on, Adventure Man, and started getting to Lily Leedy. But I think what kind of happened is about maybe about 10 years ago, I decided to stop collecting, which was a big mistake, and I started selling everything. And instead, I went out and bought cars in the garage. Imagine that.
What triggered that?
So it's funny. So I moved in the house I'm in now, in this basement, which was unfinished, and I finished it. I painted it. I went to IKEA, bought all those glass cabinets down the middle, around the side, lit up. It was beautiful. That's all. It was it was a museum. And then Hurricane Irene hits, and I didn't have any sump pumps, and I got 7 inches of water. It's up. That's it. I'm done. I'm selling. And that's what happened.
no.
Yeah. So some of
Shame.
the stuff I kept, but yeah, I mean, it just kind of developed into that, then the webpage and so on. But the Facebook group kind of was just like, hey, let's get together and we'll, talk about some knockoffs and stuff. But it's evolved into, I mean, people come in and talk about, the latest Marvel films or DC films. And it's been a haven for some people that have been banished from, let's say, other kingdoms, if you will, where they can come in and speak freely. We always offer people open speech, that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
free Facebook can be like that. Some of the groups can be really, really picky. That's true.
And I noticed, especially in the toy industry, well, when I say industry, I mean the group or community, if you want to call it that, it can get really kind of cutthroat. People get real serious about
certain things.
Certain things, toys, and especially when you get to the Mego and Star Wars and G.I. Joe and stuff like that, and you happen to misspeak and say the
wrong
thing.
Yeah, you see me holding back, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going into that because it's a family show, but yes, you're correct. Over the 25, almost 26 years I've been doing this, there's still people that I know from the original 1997 that are in the group that I speak with. J.S. Starbucks in there and Anthony McElveen. They don't speak as much anymore. And there's some other guys who are not in there, and you come to realize over time that maybe their goals are to become famous about toys. And we just, for us, we just want to enjoy them. I mean, our deal is just enjoy and share. Like I can tell you right now, like I'm looking behind you guys, I'm looking at you. I'm actually looking around you and seeing this warehouse toy store you guys have and looking like, what does he have that I haven't seen yet? Kind of stuff. Cause when you guys show stuff, where does this stuff come from? But yeah, I mean, you're right. It can get a little rough at times. I'm in some other groups. I'm in a couple G.I. Joe groups with thousands of people.
Yeah.
They all seem to get along. I'm actually in a group with 43,000 people for like a Japanese cartoon, and I there's not one bickering, and they're all over the world, no bickering. And then you get in a group of like 200 people, and it grows. And
here it comes. Yeah.
I mean, you guys are seeing it for yourself, and
you see a lot of that in the comic community too, without delving too far into it. To start, and we did a video on that a while back. People bickering about whether or not you should slab, and then they can't even agree on who should slab it. They're gonna fight over that too. It's like, man, who cares? Did you buy it? Are you giving it to me? I mean,
it's really, to me, the thing I have to realize, and at times I do, but when I get a little burned up and boiled up over people being kind of banished from rooms, for being honest, is that in the end it's all just toys. I mean, we're grown adults collecting toys, and I'm like, isn't the whole thing like yeah, you may be like, hey, I don't want to show you my collection because I'm I don't want to show it, whatever, and that's fine, but the whole idea is to share. Like, you don't go into a group because you're trying to be an individual, right? I mean, you don't want to be like a solo person, isolated. Right? You go into a group so you can talk and share, or look and see what other people have. And I think, I think some of the things, you have people going to the group and they just want to kind of look what I have and look what you don't have, and like, all right, whatever, that's fine. You just have to kind of
always got something you don't have, yeah.
Unless you're Dave Neon and you got everything.
I don't have everything. It's been a long road. Oh, somebody had asked what kind of cars, Lou.
Geez. So, believe it or not, with what I had in this basement, I bought an 87 Grand National with 54,000 miles on it. It was like brand new. I bought 4 Mustangs, a 68,
Mustang?
89.
Here we go.
So I have a 68 289 that I love. Don't really drive it much because it's under the way of getting restored. I had bought an 89 Fox body convertible, which I sold. I have a 93 Fox. I call those the vanilla ice cars because they're right out of that stupid video. I bought a 2004 Mustang. I have a 2013. I have two MGs, and I think that's about it. Other my daily drivers. I like cars. I like working on them. But these are not cars I'm going out and spending $1 million on. I'm buying them inexpensively. Repairing them, putting them together a little bit of time, and then they live in the garages I have outside. And that's
those mean more too.
Yeah,
they are because I work on them. So my father was very good with cars. My thing was I actually learned how to do an electrical system on an MG by just sticking my hands in the car. You just learn, you have to. And now it's a good running car, but it's so small when you get in it. I'm terrified I'm going to get run over by a Honda Civic because it's like just this little tiny thing. Cool stuff.
So
you have a 69. Wait a minute, hold on a second. You have a 69 Plymouth Satellite? Is that you, LPH?
No. This is
somebody else wrote it. Oh, okay.
Somebody. No,
my
dream is to get a 66 Mustang, and I almost bought
it
one time. I went to the girl's house, and she had it. Wasn't the body was great. It was in nice shape. It just needed a flywheel. That was it. And
that's it.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I went and mulled it over and talked myself out of it. And I regret that to this day.
But you can still find them. People started dumping off cars a few years ago because they're expensive. My advice to anybody who wants to get an old car, unless you love getting your hands dirty all day on a weekend, get yourself one that's a good runner. Don't buy one that's a full project, because what you don't realize is that car that you can get as a runner for $8,000 to $20,000, depending what it is, will cost you $40,000 to $100,000 to put back together. That kind of stuff, especially if it's got rust on the body and they have to cut and weld. So yeah, but I like old cars. They're just easier to work on.
That's the same thing with the toys. It's like people pick on me about my Terrordrome, and it's like, why? I spent like years looking for one, but I wanted to find it complete.
Yeah.
Because if I buy it and it's missing parts, it's going to cost me 3 times as much putting it together.
Isn't that that's what's so funny. You're 100% right. One little part can cost as much or more. Like I bought these knockoff vehicles, and fortunately I got a couple of friends in here who had some parts, but when I looked for the parts were more than the darn vehicle, and they're like a third of the size or a tenth of the size.
And there are people who capitalize on that. That's why you go to these conventions and you see the husks of like cannibalized G.I. Joe and Star Wars vehicles, and it's like just the frame is left because they picked it all apart and sold it in bits. And I just want to throttle those guys.
That's true. I know when LPH and I were talking about buying some stuff, I see guys online that are literally taking figures and they're pulling the hands out of the socket and the arms, and left hand $10. I'm like, by the time you put that together, it's like a $500 figure. I'm like,
we met a guy in Goodwill. I walked away because I couldn't take it. We just in Goodwill in the toy aisle. Yeah. And he was like, oh yeah, I had a USS Flag complete in the box. I took it apart bit by bit and sold it. I looked at him, just walked off.
My conversation, because he was talking to me because I was buying something that he thought was interesting. But then when that conversation came on, it's like, oh well, look at the time, because I don't want to get that. That's horrible.
I know that's so hard.
You're not a collector. You're not a collector. I have nothing wrong with somebody who's a seller, but you can tell when they also collect because they get more respect for the stuff.
Yeah.
Oh. 100%. I mean, you start picking things apart, and so on, and it's like they're cannibalizing it, and it's absolutely frustrating to see. Like, you could buy the whole figure for $24, but when they pick it apart, by the time, like I said, the time you put it together, it's like $200, and I'm like, I really want that, but I don't. I'm not doing it in pieces, Yeah. I guess there's a market for that, or they wouldn't do it. But I remember figures. You're like, oh, that one's almost complete. You want to get that to me, like, get as most complete as you can, unless it's, for me, it's so rare or I've hardly ever seen it that I just have to have it. There's that thing sometimes, that collecting kind of greed that kicks in. You're like, I gotta get it, and then you get it, like, oh, it's missing all these parts, but you're like, I'll get them one day, maybe. But I will say this: there's things I said I would never own, and I've come across them, and somehow one day they just popped up, and you get them. So, there's things you could say you'll never find, but you'd be very surprised. What you can, things that survive 50 years, a gun, a shoe, things like that. But that's what the sharing is. That's what I like about what we, doing these groups is, hey, I'm looking for this. And, oh yeah, I got one of those. Brian Sanchez just did something for me the other day. And I was like, holy, he sent me something 2 years ago. I know what it was. It was a gun. I don't know. I know what it goes. He didn't know what it went to. And sure enough, it was exactly the gun that I needed for this vehicle I bought. And I'm like, holy smoke. He's like, I sent you that. I'm like, how do you remember that? Yeah, but you remembered, and it was it. So
got a list and his twice.
Yeah.
It's like, I sent this to Lou.
I don't know how he remembered. I really don't. I don't really know how he remembered. I don't, but he did. And I was like,
Brian.
Well, he said it, and I'm like, oh my God, if that's it, no way. No. And I'm sitting there like, you're like, let me open the box. Please let this be it. And it was. And I was like, it was like hitting the lottery for me.
Sure.
You
had said that, okay, you got flooded out, you got frustrated, you sold a bunch of your stuff off.
Oh no, you're gonna ask me why I got back into it.
Yeah, sure. What was it that brought you back in? Because there's that thing. Because I went through something kind of like that, and then one day something just clicks and sparks, and you know what, I want that. What was it that brought you back in?
So as much as I hate to say it, in 2018, the same friend who took me to the first toy show, where I got kind of hooked, he calls me up, or he texted me, and he said, hey man, he's like, they got Migos at Target. Like, what?
Oh yeah.
He's like, there's Migos at Target. And I'm thinking, what kind of a joke is this? Because that company's been out of business forever. They're not, I didn't know they were back in business, or some semblance of them, we'll say. And I'm like, are you crazy? And he sends me a picture. He goes, look, he sends a picture of the road. So what did I do? Before I even texted him back, I was in the car doing 900 miles an hour to Target to see what I could get. And once I sorted through the 2Ds and the facts of life and all that, I found like a Dracula 2. And I'm like, this is really cool. I'm like, I'm getting this. Because, it's like, I guess the whole thing is you're reminiscing. You're trying to recapture that feeling you had right when you were a kid. So I bought a couple. And then over the next couple of months, I was in a group that was highly involved, and I got sucked into the whole, hey, there's a green shirt Kirk on Target, and everybody's out there trying to get all 50 of them at the same. I'm buying like 13 Wolfmen. I'm like, what am I going to do with all these? Like, why do I have these, right? Boxes were coming in from Target, And then eventually, after I went to the 2019 meet, we'll say, somebody actually came up to me and said, hey, I got this for you. I've been holding on to it. And it was a Azrak Hamway Adventure Man figure on the card. It was a knockoff. And I'm like, where'd you get this? He goes, I had it. I'll just give it to you. I was like, no, let me pay you for it. Wow. I don't like to get it free. He handed it to me. So I took it. And then guess what happened? Then I was on www.ebay.com and, searching for knockoffs. And so everything that's in here now, there's probably, I'm going to guess there's probably somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 figures I've bought over the last 3 years, except for a select few that I held on to before. It's pales in comparison to the million you have behind you, but for this basement, it's pretty big. It's pretty big.
And you do have an extensive collection, actually, though. I mean, you say that, but you've got quite a lot going on down there. I got to ask, what's the obsession with Captain Kidd? Because it was Matchbox, right? The Ghost of Captain Kidd, glow in the dark figure. What's the obsession?
Yeah. So that's a really good question, David. I think one, because it's glow in the dark. I think that's probably the first thing. There's something about
you can't find it on eBay because Lou will outbid you. But
no, well, not always. I have a limit now. I kind of caught some. It's
not a cheap figure.
No, it's not. And I'm actually was talking to somebody about one in the coffin box, and I'm like, man, I don't want to have to sell a leg, to get this thing. But it glows in the dark. They're really cool figures. To me, it's a shame Matchbox didn't get farther with it. I, I just remember being, I think it was 5, and another friend who I'm still friends with to this day. He's actually in our group, but he doesn't say anything. I remember the day he came. He had me come over, and his mom bought him the Fighting Furies, the carry case ship, and Captain Hook and Captain in the box. And I remember opening them up, and he was so, at 5, 6 years old, he was so careful. Like, he wasn't the kid that tore the box open. Like, he gently opened. He respected them, like he was like, they're collectible, and he was a kid. I was like, and I got hooked on them. I didn't really get to play with them much, but at some point, I bought one in the Sears box years ago and sold it. And then when I started seeing them again, David, it's weird. I want to say they light up my day, but I don't know. There's 15 over there on the shelf in various stages.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, you start to learn things like which ones were made in the UK, which ones are made here, and you just kind of get involved. And I'm like, oh, I'm missing a hat, and then one of the guys goes, oh, I got a hat for you. I'll send you a hat. Oh, okay, thank you. And then I don't know. You just keep doing it. If I see them cheap enough, I buy them. But I have that problem a lot, David. I've got like 45 Tomlins on the shelf, and I probably only have 7 characters. The rest are just, dupes, triplets, whatever comes after 4, 5, 6, 7,
you
8.
can come across an intact Tomland, you should probably grab it. I just
yeah,
they're cheap. They're cheaply constructed, but they're not easy.
That's a nice way of putting it, David, because they're junk.
I've seen worse.
Yeah, that's true.
Worse.
Yeah.
You could get those Durham figures with the paint that chips off and big
yes. They made a good meal for kids that wanted something to eat when the paint chipped off. But yeah, it's I don't know. I think what I found is that when I was collecting, like I had pretty much the good majority of the the Migos, even the sidelines, if you will, the like the Robin Hoods and the Westerns and so on. But I found like a lot of people weren't talking about the knockoffs, and it's not to be different. I was just like, oh, this is something cool. Plus, they were cheap. When I was doing the knockoffs, I could get a Tomlin for $8 to $15, maybe 20. Now, forget it. I mean, I see one missing parts and it's all broken. Oh, we want $300. I'm like, it's not even complete. It's broken. Well, that's what they go for these days. So it's gotten crazy. So I might kind of be hitting a limit there unless somebody's putting them out cheap. But eBay's probably not the best place to go buy them either. There's probably better venues for that, if you will.
I don't know. eBay's hurting.
Yeah, they're sending out notices to people to complain about the taxes.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, the taxes. Oh, yeah.
I still have a seller account there, and I got a message from them. I was going to do a video on it because they asked me to help them sign their petition because they're getting killed. Everybody's leaving. Yeah. It's most people that sell on eBay, sidetracking a little bit here.
Yeah.
They're not a business. It's a hobbyist or somebody's got some extra stuff. Someone needs money for bridge work. They need a new set of tires. Yeah, seriously. And so they all, I guess I'll part with this. No, because the new tax laws, it turns it into a racket, and you can't, you get screwed. And
I'm paying taxes in the Netherlands and Italy. I'm like, I don't live there. I'm like, what am I paying taxes for that for? I mean,
now every time you sell, if your total sales for the year are higher than 600, they make an IRS report, and you're going to have to pay 20+% on that.
And it's
insane.
Yeah. And I mean, you got places like Facebook Marketplace, and people sell on YouTube Live and Instagram, stuff like that, where you can kind of go under the radar a little bit.
Facebook Marketplace report you now too.
Oh God!
Are they getting taxed? I know Mercury is collecting taxes.
Macari.
I'm sorry. And I'm like, what? Yeah. I'm like, I bought something from Italy and I got hit with this tax. I'm like, why am I paying Italian tax? I'm like, I don't live there. Oh yeah, they get you good. I mean, on top of the shipping being a fortune.
Yeah, it's getting ugly. It's hurting eBay, and they recognize that.
Yeah.
And so they're like, hey, help us sign this petition, because like I said, most people, they're not really businesses. It's just a hobbyist. Hey, I'll sell this, and I'll so I can buy that or whatever.
I'm reading Brian Sanchez's comment.
So
I can never know when he's being serious or joking. Sanchez, he's a riot.
what's the fascination with the knockoffs and the bootlegs?
Uh, I think honestly, David, because I think like a lot of people weren't collecting them so I could get them cheaper. But I think the thing that really drives me to them, and not all of them follow this practice, but you have this cheap piece of junk, right? That they're trying to make you believe is as good quality as the expensive thing. You're like, that's crappy. But usually like the Durhams, David, the card art on the Durhams is
It's stellar.
it's outstanding. I mean, it's like Hasbro quality for the old G.I. Joe. It's fantastic, but the figures are crap.
All of their budget went into the artwork.
It is. I mean, they put the artwork on. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it's like what, a 97-cent figure? And then if you flip the back, they've got the illustration, how to use the hand and so on.
Same illustration because it's the soldier on the back of each card, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically the same toy, right? Same toy. But yeah, but I love the card art. Even so even on like the Tomlins, like the famous Monsters and Legends have the really good card art, especially the glow in the dark ones have the really good ones.
Yeah.
Star Raiders are okay, and then they broke them, and then you're like, all right, I'm going to collect Tomlin Star Raiders, and then you find out, oh, they make creatures from other worlds. Oh, I got to get those too. It's the same figure, it's just different card. And then they made the Italian version. The Italian version, is actually got a different company name. It's New Gioco Roma, like New Game Roma. It's not even say Tomlin on. So I'm like, okay, and the more you dig, the more you learn. And I don't know, like I've got knockoff crap here. I don't even know why I bought it. Like I mean, it's just crap. And I'm like, what am I doing with this? I'm not like one of those people who's like, oh, look what I got and you don't have. That's not it. I'm like, oh, look what I got. Who else has this? Because I like to talk about it. And every once in a while, somebody will chime in, with stuff and just, show things you don't know. And I think that's kind of cool. I also think I get bored easily. So once I started collecting like all the Migos, I'm like, what? Now I'm going to go chase a friend's Beckenbauer figure for $1,000 and it's going to be missing the socks. And I'm like, nah, let me go find something else. But I also get that 2, 3 a.m. when you shouldn't be out buying on auctions, that auctioning at 3 a.m. in the morning, you just start, oh, look at this. Checkers with Batman on them. All right, well, let's get those. And let's get you start buying stuff. I'm like, why did I buy this crap? I got color forms over here. I'm like, what am I doing with color forms? I don't know. I just bought them at 3 a.m. and I'm okay. They look cool. But so yeah.
I remember color forms and Shrinky Dinks and what's that transfer one, the rub off. I forget what they call it.
Oh, the rub off.
Yeah.
Those were so popular when I was
like a wide poster and it comes with these rub off and you like Superman and stuff.
Those were so popular when I was a kid. Those were like when we were in Italy living there. We moved there. I wasn't born there, but those were everywhere. Like it was those, and then the books that you can get now, where you have to get the sticker packs and you have to get to stick it. I mean, those were like I think the company's called Panini or something. Panini. But yeah, I think so. But those were so popular. I mean, that was the thing. That was the thing. Yeah. But I don't know. The other thing I think is really neat about the knockoff stuff that I get into is like when you look at some of the card art, you're like, who did they rip off? Like if you look at the AI Adventure Man with the Western series, they clearly stole the Lone Ranger artwork for Tonto Lone Ranger. They modified a little bit, or somebody redrew it, if you will. Then there's this figure I have from overseas called Bronco. He's a crappy blow mold. Well, I mean, he's got some articulation, 9-inch Indian and cowboy. But when you look at the card, it's a picture of it's a Mort Alexander, More Toys Indian, and all they did was reverse the color of the clothes on their figure, and then they've got a Mighty Neil from either Mighty Neil, Mighty Gary, depending which company, because they made so many, riding on some plastic. It's not even a figure they make on the card. It's the two Western figures that they put with this. I'm like, why wouldn't you take pictures of your own figures and put them on the card? So they were basically taking stuff from other people and, ripping them off. It's to me, it's just crazy. And they got away with it back then to a point, I guess.
I think it depends on where you are. You see more of that in the foreign market because when they do it here, they get caught up like Durham with the Young Kung Fu Chop figure. They got in trouble for, or Shindana when they did the who was it? Agent Slade.
Oh yeah, Slade. Yeah.
But and obviously it's Richard Roundtree.
Yeah.
And Paramount, who was it Paramount? I can't remember. Was like, you need to take that figure off the market, and that's why it's so hard to find it now.
And expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive. I'd love to get my hands on one of those actually.
I've seen a few on eBay, but
they're expensive. Yeah, they get way up there. But I think sometimes they had like really good artwork to try to draw you in, because you look at that Durham fireman card art and you're like, wow, but you've seen the Durham fireman, so you get it out of the package and you're like,
it's a piece of crap. I've got them all over on the shelf here, and it's such a piece of it's such a piece of crap. Like, and like the paint's always peeling off the boots. I don't even know how you preserve it. I mean, I guess you have to have like perfect humidity and stuff. Maybe you gotta seal coat it or something. But you're right. It's crap. But the card art is fantastic. I'm looking at Cycle Cop, and I actually have 2 of the Young Kung Fu's over there, and they're fantastic. Even the what's the one? Is it the Daredevil Rider? It's the Evil Knievel ripoff.
Oh
that
yes,
one I love. He waves a flag. He's got
the checker flag. Yeah.
Right. But he has a motorcycle helmet on, and he's waving the flag just in case somebody runs him over. I don't know. But the card art is, I mean, I don't know who drew for them. Actually, that's funny, Dave, because that's one of the things I actually wanted to ask you one day is like, do you know who like did their artwork? Like who drew for them, like the people? Because the guy clearly, they had talent. I mean, that's when you went to the store and okay, the figure's cool, but it was that card art that like hopefully it would suck you in. Oh, look what he can do. The Young Kung Fu figure, it looks like a bald baby doll with a dress on versus the actual picture, the young Kwai Chang Kane on the side. You're like, oh, I could be in Kung Fu. And it's not, so, but yeah, I don't know. They've always just been like a fascination, but it did, I do Lone Ranger, and I started getting some of the Adventure Team G.I. Joe, but I need help from a lot of people getting into those. They're far from my expertise, far from it.
Now I see you got like some box figures and some loose figures, and I know a certain person is going to get upset about this, but what is your thought?
Ooh, Johnny,
should
we open something up and give him a heart attack?
What's your view on having yourself in the box and out? Because you do both, obviously, because I see yourself behind you.
So when I started collecting Migos, I was realizing vintage Migos, realizing I'm getting pieces because I'm at garage sales and flea markets and stuff. And once in a while, you might find something pretty complete and maybe in good condition. There was a guy in there named Rob Chatlin, and Rob Chatlin would collect, just like Johnny, get everything mint in the package, except Rob Chatlin would have given Johnny a heart attack because he cut everything open, and he'd display it like brand new, perfect. We actually got to go to his apartment in Pennsylvania, invited people over to come look. It was like the holy grail. It was like, it was just this lit shelves with all this stuff. And I realized I'll probably never be able to afford that at the time. So I was like, I'll get it loose. Plus, if it's loose, I can, I'm not so worried about, dinging the box or dinging the package. It wasn't until, this is the truth, it wasn't until I met Johnny and I started leaving stuff in the box and didn't want to take it out, because I've got figures like, the boxes were in crates, and I'm like, oh, I took all this stuff out. And then I met Johnny, and he actually made me feel bad without even realizing it. He made me feel bad for opening stuff up. So now I'm like, well, do I really want to open it? I mean, if it's like got a clamshell, I'll open it, but there's still like, I feel like my grandmother's over my shoulder, like with Johnny, like, don't open it. You're going to regret it, and I'll still open it and I'll put it back and try and make like it wasn't open. But no, actually I'm not kidding. If it wasn't for him, everything in this basement would have been open and put back in the box. But I tell people, like, collect what you want. There's people who collect, like people who collect because they like, mint. And I know, like, even talking with Johnny, like he's like, even a figure like maybe, and I hope I'm not speaking for him, but a figure like he may really want, but the box might be like, maybe it's torn or something. And he's like, I'll wait for a better one. And I'm like, man, that's the only one I've seen in 20 years. Are you kidding me? Go buy it, because you may not see another one. And he's got that patience and also that incredible medical condition that you can put all that stuff in a box and never open it. I don't know how that even. We joke about him. We're like, we'll send Johnny birthday presents, but just leave him a wrap box because he's never going to open it anyway and see what's inside. So we just leave an empty box. So I think you should collect what you want. Yeah, I mean, I look at the stuff you guys have, and I know David, you got some really. Both you guys have some really cherry mint stuff back there, and I'm like, I don't know how you guys got that, especially after your second wave of collecting, we'll say, came in. But I tell you, collect what you want. Like if you want to open it. But if it's if it's a $10,000 figure, if it's a $30,000 Tomlin mummy on card, I probably wouldn't cut it open. But if you want to, that's up to you.
I totally feel you, and yeah, and we talk about that a lot. It's like it's a matter of preference. You paid for it; they didn't pay for it. People give you a hard time about the dumbest stuff. It's I'm right and you're wrong. Damn it!
Yeah.
It's crazy, and it's like it's whatever makes you happy. I do both. Obviously, I like.
It doesn't look like you do both. Where's the loose ones? Where's the loose ones? I see
those
perfect
back there.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I got this one GI Joe.
They're there. No,
it's in there.
These are loose.
All
right, original 60s and 70s Joes there.
I could tell you that I did have an extra Loki from Space Academy that was out of the box, and I bought one in the box, and he's a dime a dozen. You find them all over, but I had a loose one. And this was maybe 2 years ago. I was talking to Johnny, and he was like, "Oh, that's from Space Academy. I really like that show." And I never saw it till again. That's the other thing. Like I started watching it after I met Johnny. But I sent it to him loose. I'm like, "You sure you want this? It's loose." He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'll give it to you. You can have it." He's like, "Okay, I'll take it." I'm like, "That's the only figure I know that Johnny. he may have others, but it's the only one I've ever heard that he has loose." And I was like,
he showed it on a video one time, and me and David was watching. I think that's the figure because it was loose.
Is it this guy?
Like
it's like that one.
That's a loose figure. He had it kind of hidden, like he didn't want people to see it.
It ruins his reputation. He's like the Fonz.
It's in quarantine.
Yeah.
But the significance of that, of course, for people who don't realize about that Space Academy series, because there's 3 figures in it. And of course, the Loki is the easiest one to find. Everyone's favorite sidekick.
Yeah,
I think it says.
I don't know about that. I think he was
something like that.
Kind of him for one of the others.
something corny on the box like that. But the other 2 are harder to find because those are the 2 anybody would have actually wanted to play with. But they're the material they're made out of, and this is also part of it. Is when you find a cheesy vintage figure that's still intact, it's so rare. The plastic it's made out of dissolves if it comes in contact with sunlight, and it's not uncommon to find one of those figures sealed with like crumbles, like breadcrumbs on the bottom of the package.
So that was never opened. I didn't even open it until I was like, "What is that noise in there?" And I knew his hands were gone. And I'm like, "What is that noise?" And it was literally the plastic. Like you said, David, it turns to sand or plastic sand. It's just rattling around in there. And I'm like, and they all do that except for Loki, who has whatever plastic he's made of. Are they kind of like Super Joe bodies or something, where the joints and everything kind of fall apart, I guess, or something? I'm not really sure.
And I've seen Loki dissolve like that too.
Oh, really? Oh.
But for some reason, I guess because nobody wanted him, he was like left alone more. I don't know.
He's a horrible toy. That's all I would say. He's a horrible toy. And I think he was like if I remember correctly, I think he was like, I'm not sure, but I think he was one of the ones that was like sold at Woolworths or something also, or something like that. Because Woolworths had a little everything. Yeah. But yeah, he's a terrible toy. I didn't even know the show. I just knew the figures. And then Johnny's like, that's from a TV show.
It was a spin-off of Jason of Star Command.
And if Rich Hurley was here, he could do a really good what's the guy's name? Whoever played Dr. Smith. Is it Jonathan Harris? Is that his name? He does a very good impression of that all the time. Who's Isaac Gampu, or whatever his name is. And I'm like, I watched the show, and it's got that girl in it, some actress from a kid, and she's like in every 70s TV kid show that's on. And
then Jason of Star Command had Sid Haig, who had probably one of one of the greatest maniacal laughs on television, because his character would break into one of those crazy.
He was so great. I went to Chiller Theater with a friend just because Sid Haig was going to be there with Bill Moseley after they did House of a Thousand Corpses. And normally I walk around, they're like usually B celebrities, and I don't really care. But I got to Sid Haig's table. I was the first one there. And I literally was shaking because I was so happy to meet him. And he's like, I go, can you sign my DVD? And he stood up. He's huge. I mean, or he was huge. He was a big dude. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. I said, he goes, what do you want me to write? I go, I don't know, whatever you write. He's like, well, give me your name. And so, Tulu. And then he used one of his vulgar comments from the movie, Sid Haig. And that DVD has not been touched by human hands to this day. I'm so excited to have Sid's signature. I love that guy. He was awesome. He was so very nice too. Very nice.
Sure.
Jason of Star Command. Hold on, Johnny's saying something.
Oh,
okay.
One of his favorite live action shows. They had some good live action shows in those days.
Now, do you collect newer stuff? I know you get a lot of bootleg. Is it like the newer bootleg or the old one?
Well, do we consider the stuff that came out in the last 4 years bootleg, or is that actually no? Okay. So that bootleg stuff I've been giving away for free because I'm just done with it.
I know he a bunch of his new Mego stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the new Mego stuff. I've been giving it away.
Warned not to say new Mego because they don't like that.
Oh,
but don't get me going. But
yeah, we kind of got gently asked. Myself and a couple other guys, we got gently asked not to use that term in another group because somebody found it offensive. Not the ambassador group. This is a completely just another toy group. Like, we don't like that term. Like, okay,
mine wasn't so gentle, but yeah.
But
those I give.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's what I was talking about earlier. It's like, why you got to be so sensitive over a phrase?
Yes,
Mego. Okay, it is.
Keep going, LPH. Just keep going. You got the floor. Go ahead.
Hours, but it is new compared, because when did it come out? In the 70s, right?
Originally,
it came out in the 70s. This one came out in 2018
or something.
19. Yeah, it's newer.
I think. Yeah, and I think that's just a way to distinguish between the two, because it's like, well, we got Mego, and then it was a way to distinguish, because remember, some of the characters, even they started doing the Star Trek stuff, were kind of, is reissue the right word, or they tried to remold them or whatever it was. Remake them. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not getting out Captain Kirk because he looks like he had his eyebrows painted on in the later version. It didn't look like the original one, because I have a couple of the original ones I like. The new ones, listen, it's a nice effort. The idea was good. Just don't agree with where the company went in the end. But new stuff, not so much knockoff stuff. I think more of the old stuff. I do collect newer things. A lot of it's because, believe it or not, my wife actually encourages it. She's buying me. She bought me most of the McFarlane Batman stuff, and some of the guys helped me with that. She bought me that giant Mezco Batman kit, like the whole monstrous box. It's like 3.5 feet long or something. And I buy some of the newer stuff. I really like. I don't know. Here comes the shameless plugs. I like the stuff from Brent Sorensen, Brent Stiles. I love them. He's done a great job. But most of the stuff I think I get, if it's knockoff, it's usually older stuff, unless it's like the Captain Action stuff from Playing Mantis in the 2000s or 2012s with the round 2. Those I buy because they're a little bit less expensive than the original Captain Actions. Like one of those is like the cost of his belt, from the 60s. So yeah, I do like those for sure.
Hold on, what's this one? What do you prefer?
Oh yeah, somebody. That he wasn't asking a question. He's being that's hypothetical.
Oh, I thought that was Brian Sanchez by the nature of the question. Is that Sanchez's other personality? Geriatric Beagle, millennial Beagle. I mean, what are you supposed to call him, Mego? I mean, in all honesty, the only thing that ties, I think, in my opinion, only that company today to what it was is the fact that somehow Marty's name is on the package, because I don't think he's too involved. They're still using an 8-inch format, and they're cheap as hell. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Didn't they make them smaller, like an inch smaller or something, like a year or so ago?
The new bodies are a half inch shorter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so oh man, you're only gonna okay. So yes, they're a little bit smaller. They were making a bandless body,
Yeah, yeah.
which was they had already developed one. David Lee had done it for Castaway Toys, and his are actually quite nice. They're actually very good. I've quite a few sample examples of those. Yeah, they're shorter, and to be honest with you, they don't all break, but it seems like there's kind of the joint is kind of a very thin plastic, and
Hmm.
some examples of it being broken easily. So you should only pose it gently. There's actually instructions by several members of a particular group to tell you how to pose that. Yeah, how to pose it because you were playing with them too hard.
There's a lot of that going around nowadays, though, with a lot of toy companies. So that cost much more. The that
Yes. What are they making them out of food products, or they're labeled as food products or something? I heard. I'm like, what? So
know.
new stuff I just buy and probably just kind of stick it on the shelf, to be
Uh-huh.
honest with you. Again, that's probably Johnny's fault because he made me feel really bad. And I'm like, I should open this. I'm like, no, Johnny's going to get mad. So I just put it on the shelf. But there are some things I will take out. If I get it from Walmart, then I'll probably get it out of the box because it's from Walmart. Let's be realistic. That's not the best
You
stuff.
know,
For me.
every time you leave something in the box, an MIB gets his wings. So
Yeah. I mean, he has over 5,000 pieces in
yeah,
that basement.
he's got an
Remember,
impressive collection. He does. He's got a lot of stuff.
incredible. We like to we would do some video chat with groups
Mhm.
of us from time to time, and we're just talking, shooting the hay, if you will. And my favorite part is when Johnny would be in there, and then we'd start doing some like, we'd see like the back of his basement, little dark or whatever. Like, hey Johnny, we just saw something move in the background. Is somebody down there with you? Something like that. He's like, knock it off, try and get him nervous. And then we figured, we firmly believe that between Johnny's house, his basement, and the basement of Ray Castile, that there is a tunnel between them. We think that there's actually a tunnel between those two homes. If we could get into one, and we think if we can infiltrate Ray's, we might be able to get into Johnny's through the underground tunnel, rob Johnny, and then leave and go out Ray's basement. We would probably, tie Ray up or something so we could get out. But yeah.
I think the haunted toy that shuffles around in there would find you out, and you wouldn't make it.
Or Ray's cat, Billy the cat, would probably get us before we get out of there. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, Johnny's got such an amazing collection of stuff in there. He really does. I mean, I didn't realize when I first met him, like he was not opening anything. And the more I met him and spoke with him over the years, I'm like, wait, you don't open anything? Like nothing? He's like, no. I'm like, holy smoke. And he keeps it in such good shape. He really does.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
stuff gets banged around a little bit. I mean, a little
How do you
overstocked.
keep track of your stuff? Do you have a database? Or is it all
So I wrote a piece of soft. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's in my head, which is the bad way to do that, because then I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I had a
14
Tomlin,
kids already.
Tomlin Yeti. Well, here he goes. Here's number 9. Like I do forget things, and actually, so this is a true story. So I have this incredibly hard to find rare figure called Big Bill. I bought him in 1998, I think. I got him on eBay when you could still leave feedback for someone as a joke without even bidding on their auction. It was this Wild West.
I remember
So
that. Yeah.
yeah, it said 8-inch action figure and mailer box. No picture, no nothing, because there weren't all pictures back then. It was $8. All right, I'll bid on it, and I won it. And I got it, and I wish I had it with me, but it's over there. But it's a white mailer box. It's called Big Bill, and he's got a collection of different knockoff parts, Mego parts. It's sealed in the bag. It's a Lincoln figure, come to find out over time. But so I had been asked, can you bring it to Mego Meet 2019? I'd like to see it and take some pictures. I said, sure. So being neurotic over it, I hid it in a Tupperware, one of those big Tupperware bins with some stuff. Forgot about it. 2 weeks later, I can't find it. I'm like, uh-oh, what happened? Now Mego Meet's coming up. I wind up not being able to find it. I go to Migo Meet. I'm having a heart attack. I'm like, I lost Big Bill. Somebody stole Big Bill. Somebody broke into my house and stole Big Bill. They left the TVs. They didn't touch any of the money. They just took Big Bill, right? So I'm like, all these crazy thoughts. So then I came home and it was almost Christmas time. And I went in the back of the basement where I keep the Christmas stuff. And I apparently had put it in a bin where I had some G.I. Joes and put that on the bottom of all the Christmas stuff. I guess I don't know, like I must have been crazy. So as I'm taking the Christmas stuff out, I find this bin and I open it. I go, why are there G.I. Joes in here? Oh, let me go put these on the shelf. Why not? And then I found Big Bill. And I'm going to tell you, that was probably the happiest day other than when my daughter was born, finding that Big Bill. But I mean, like, I don't know. It's hard to keep track. I know there's guys that do keep track of everything, but I even thought about, like, how do you label it? Like Durham Young Kung Fu, Woolworth version, Durham Young Kung Fu, non-wool. I don't even know how to keep track. Like, there'd be so much time. I don't think I'd be able to eat because you'd be so busy cataloging everything. Do you guys keep track of your stuff? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I keep mine on a
You really?
Excel spreadsheet. And
Wow.
I catalog it as it comes in. But then I get so anal with mine. It's like a topic and then it's broken down.
You're kidding me.
No.
Wow, that's amazing. But I guess if you keep up with it, I guess it's good.
Yeah, and I do it with my comic books, the toys, the pops, the lunch boxes, the puzzles, the lunch trays, everything. Statues.
So if you go to a show to buy stuff, do you take it with you so you know what you have?
Because I keep it on the Google Drive.
Oh, so you pull it up from the web. Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
So if I see something, I'm like, do I have that? So people thinking I'm looking it up on eBay. No, I'm looking to see, do I have that?
Then I look it up on eBay.
And he looks it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Now, did you catalog your stuff, David, or no? Because you got a hell.
No, I've got a list also. I just have behind on it.
I mean, that's one of the things that I always think, like, if the house burns down, I'm screwed, right? Because all that money's gone unless you have a list and send it in, I was told, to your insurance. Like, you're just gone.
They'll take a video.
Yeah.
If you go around slowly with a video camera.
Yeah.
And like, okay, this is this.
Video catalog.
Yeah, they'll accept that.
Well, hell, just send it to my YouTube channel because everything's up there every time I go down, every time I walk around here. So they should have it all at this point, I think.
Yeah, but they take the Excel spreadsheet, and if you do the insurance, they want a estimated value.
Yeah.
So then you just put the price down.
$1 billion. Yeah,
exactly. I was like, how much do you think a Ghost of Captain Kidd goes for there, Mr. Insurance Man? I don't know. It's a cheap piece of crap from the 70s with a crack in it. I'm sorry, sir. That's a $300 item for that piece of crap. Yeah, well, I do look on eBay a lot just for things, and I look at like what's selling, like Tomlins for the price they're going for. I'm like, man, if they're selling Tomlins for that much, I could probably be like almost a half millionaire if I sold all my, the 40 figures that I have, because they charge so much money for them. It's crazy. But then I'm thinking, like, you do see a lot of figures, kind of hanging out there for a long time. There was something I saw in there for over 2 years. I guess I don't know how eBay works anymore, but it used to be the longer it was there, the more you paid them. And now I guess you could just put it up and you just get paid when it sells, because people leave stuff hanging up there forever, it seems sometimes. So I don't really know how it works.
Number of free listings.
Yeah.
But,
they do. Okay.
Yeah. But because when I had them, I don't have Tomlins anymore, but when I had them before.
Wait, hold on a second. Wait a minute. What?
Yeah, because part of the collection that was lost.
Stolen.
Oh, you haven't started again?
No, because
I'm surprised you have everything carded and sealed. And
because when I was buying them in the 90s, I mean, they were like $10.
$10, right? They were junk. They were just junk.
Well, Morlock, $10. Whatever.
Yeah.
They didn't care. That's the whole thing, is people ask about that, and I'm like, well, how come you don't have more Star Wars now? Because when I was buying them, I was still getting them at KB 2 and 3 for $1.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that, KB? That was a bargain.
For $1, let me get 10 of these. And the stuff was so cheap, it was crazy. Like this came up with somebody with the Mego phaser, the little phaser target game.
Yeah.
I don't remember how he was selling it for something at the show. I forget, but I'm like, I bought a sealed case of those for like $30. You know,
What?
because that's all it was you could get for it then.
Holy shit!
People didn't care about that stuff. When I had the complete LJN carded Thundercats line. I paid less than $5 a piece for them. You know, but
I don't even want to know what they go for today.
yeah, so don't
Ridiculous
ask.
prices.
Wow.
Prices, and I had a couple
Wow.
of them, like including the Thunderwing Lionel and Luna Lasher Mumra. And I've talked to collectors that are like, there's no Lunar Lasher Mumra. Yeah, there is.
So are the prices on eBay going up and up, David, because people are need to make money and eBay's taking so much, or is it because collectors are just like people are coming into collecting and saying, "Oh, I want that." Somebody pays 300 for something anybody else would have paid 50 for, and now all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh, we can get 300 for it." Like I can't figure out why they're getting so expensive. I mean, I get over time things get harder to find, but you know,
it's a combination of demand and necessity because people.
I don't think any of this stuff's
Yeah,
necessary.
necessity in that, like, well, demand because people want it, but
Sure.
necessity in that when you go to sell it, you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to pay eBay fees. There's gonna be taxes.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna get taxed again because they're gonna give me a W-2.
That's crazy.
From eBay. And how do you factor that? Like I've seen, this is the thing that's going on now with that Galactus. With the HasLab Galactus, sidetracking again here a little
Was
bit.
that the $300 or $400 thing that just came out?
Yeah. So when you
Yeah.
tax and shipping all in, I think it came out to like $420 you paid for it from HasLab. So what's the going rate for it right now? 600. So you put it on eBay and you sell it for $600, and then you pay your fees, and then you pay the taxes, which is going to be another 20%. Because I was thinking about this the other day, because there's a ton of them on eBay, right?
Yeah.
By the time all is said and done, after your W-2 taxes, your regular sales taxes, and eBay's fees, your net income from that is going to be like $23. So
Wow. What a waste of time.
$420 on a figure so I can make $23.
Yeah.
They're killing you. So, and then people are going to try to get the most they can out of it, but it's insane.
I do see people when things come out. Like I remember last year, I think Walmart put out these Predator figures, and as soon as they hit Walmart, they were on eBay or maybe a little before, and they were going for like $60, $70, $100 for like, the couple figures, like 2 or 3 figures. They were like $21. But over the course of a week to 2 weeks, you see, like, then they couldn't get rid of them for $5. Like nobody was buying them, So I think you got those guys that go in and they grab everything. You don't get anything. They throw it on eBay. People go buy it, and then I'll go make some money or whatever. My wife's like, if you can get that on eBay, she goes, why don't you buy 2 of them? I'm like, I'm not doing that. She's like, why not? I go, because that's not what I do. I'm here for the collection. I want somebody else to have the opportunity. When I bought my famous covers when they came out in the late the 90s, whenever it was, I went into Toys R Us, and there was a little kid walking in to get them, and some, let's say, grown-ass man was in there, not me, and he's grabbing them, and he took the last, I don't know what it was, Spider-Man or something. I mean, he's a kid, right? He had like 5 of them in his hand or his shopping cart. And the mother's like looking at the guy, and the guy starts walking off. And I'm like, and the kid starts crying. He just walks up like, hey, man. He's like, what? I go, can you give the kid one before you go put them all up on eBay and sell them? You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, like seriously. I mean, he was just scavenging them so they could make money. I can't stand that. I hate that. And I know that goes on, but
yeah. Well, we've seen the videos not too long ago of the fiasco in Walmart with the Pokemon cards. They were fighting and tussling and running each other down.
Older people. Those people look like they were 50, 60 years old. When the door opened, they just rushing in there, elbowing people, knocking them back to get some Pokemon cards. And I'm like, Pokemon.
I could see Brian Sanchez doing that for a sandwich, right? But not for Pokemon cards. Yeah, I know it's really crazy. My daughter, she likes Pokemon cards. She's autistic, and she doesn't take care of them. Like she has tens of thousands, and they're not worth squat because she just destroys them. Yeah. But I remember when they started like taking them off the shelf, she had all these gift cards, kids for like Christmas, and there was none to buy. So I was like, you got to go online and get them. She's
you
like,
know
why?
what?
I go, people were fighting. She's like, what do you mean they're fighting? I'm like, honey, they were beating each other up for Pokemon cards. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes.
Now I know you said that we know you collect cars that you drive. You collect Mego figures and you collect
Well,
bootleg.
not so many Mego figures anymore. I only have a very select few.
Old
Like
Mego.
Flash Gordon, old Migos, the old 1 million BC.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh, you got some Flash Gordon. You got them handy.
I love the Flash Gordon Mego figures. I have 3 box sets, 3 box things.
Oh, you don't have carded ones. You don't have the
No,
carded.
well, mine are off the cards because those I'm going to tell you, I had them carded in my last series, and I'm going to tell you, like, this is where I can't understand how a guy like Johnny can't open, because I would stare at them and I'm like, I hope the glue dries up so it just falls off the card, because they had so many cool accessories and the colors are so cool, and I didn't want to open them. I probably should just open them. So now I get them loose. I like them loose, and they're, I got some of those up there and doing that. I like that. I like the old Buster Crab Flash Gordon, so that's kind of a cool spot for me. But Migos, no, not too much. It's mostly knockoff stuff.
Okay.
And recently some G.I. Joe Adventure Team stuff. But I got all these guys helping me, figure this out, because I don't know what they go for. I don't know.
Yeah.
What else do you collect? That's it? Just toy stuff and the cars?
Well, I think so. I mean, I collect. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Pretty. I think that's. I mean, I have like some weird stuff. Like I have some kind of posters and stuff. Like my room over there is kind of like it's like my movie room. And before my daughter went in during COVID and destroyed it, it was all just like monster posters and stuff like that. But not really so much collecting. I think collecting has been really. I think it's really been to the action figures, unless collecting debt could be considered a hobby. If that's the case, I would be a really, really good collector at that point. I'd be a professional. But no, otherwise, just pretty much that.
Okay.
What about vinyl records?
Oh, so I'm not really like a collector like you guys would probably think a collector. I'm one of those people that just kind of buy stuff that I like. So I'll go to Goodwill and I'll sort through the 400 polka records, which always seem to be in there, to find, 1 or 2 gems.
And like gospel, there's tons of gospel records.
Oh yeah, always. But I found like some pretty cool old Mr. Rogers records, which is really cool. And I was actually sharing with the guys one time, and
we heard you playing it once.
Yeah.
Well, the one song that's on there that they could never play today is "Boys Are Boys and Girls Are Girls," and
it's
playing. Yeah, Mr. Rogers explaining how boys are boys, and I was like, man, they would have never let this record go to print back then. They would never done any of that. And I do have some other records, nothing like crazy. Like I get them used because I want to put them on the record player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want them to. I want to hear them. That kind of thing. But I just have like random stuff. Like I got some color forms and I got a couple Halloween costumes. Oh, some Aurora models. But those I get however the kid painted it, like crap. That's the way it goes on the shelf. They take those shiny tester paints and dump it on it. That's the way it goes on the shelf. I am surprised that those old 60s things still glow. Like they still glow in the dark to this day. It's crazy they still work. But yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, probably. Let's just have a basement full of crap. How's that? That's basically what I got down.
I don't know.
It's a lot of crap in here. Yeah.
Depends on your perspective.
So what's your thought about the toy industry and the direction it's going in? Because you see a lot of stuff going on, and it's kind of taking people away from it. It's starting to not be fun anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I that comes up a lot. Some of the discussions that we have on the side. And I don't like the model of prepaying for stuff that hasn't been produced, like that pre-ordering.
Yeah, somebody was asking about that earlier. Pre-orders. Your thoughts on pre-orders? And I was going to ask, do you pre-order anything?
I used to until we had some issues. Then I don't pre-order anymore. I mean, there was a time it was like you could pre-order this one really cool thing, but now it's like it's almost like Hasbro as a like, I'm not a Hasbro expert, but companies like Hasbro, as big as they are, I wouldn't think they would need to get the money up front to put a figure out. It's almost like they're Kickstartering their own stuff.
Yeah,
And I
they
don't,
are.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't love that idea. I mean, if it's like, hey, we can make Galactus, and they're already going to make it anyway, they're trying to get excitement. I feel like they're not going to do it till they hit that level, right? It doesn't go off. And to me, it's like, you're a toy company. That's like me saying, all right, how many people want milk? How many people need milk? All right, well, you got to pre-order your milk, or I'm not squeezing the cow. I mean, you know, that that stuff should be made and sold. Like, if you don't think it's going to sell, then don't make it, or take a poll. Hey, come to our website and vote. If we don't get 50,000 people saying they like it, then we're not going to make it. I could see that, but I don't think, first of all, kids are all in the video games today for the most part. And they're kind of out of it. That whole thing's kind of, so I think when I'm dead, nobody's going to want this crap anyway. It's just going to go, my wife will garage sale for a nickel, take the whole basement. But I think, like, toy companies as a whole, they're not what they used to be, right? We can't go to Toys R Us anymore. We can't browse the mom and pop hobby shops. There's nothing that gives me more pleasure than going to a website and seeing pictures of old, like, hobby shops with G.I. Joes stacked floor to ceiling and models and you name it. Now it's like you go to Walmart, and I mean, these guys know, some of these guys, I'm like walking in there going live on Facebook going, this place looks like a bomb blew up in here. They should be ashamed to be trying to sell these kinds of toys. Stuff's all over the place. And I know they can't stay on top of it 24/7, but if I go back there 4 days later and the stuff's still laying on the floor, well, I don't know what they're doing, but maybe you should clean it up. It's just not, it's like, hey, here's what we got. If you like it, get it. Like, I don't think they expect to make that much money on toys anymore, where that was like a big deal. All the commercials we used to have as kids for Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, they're making as much as they were then, really, but it's like the target, it's the same target, because they were targeting us when we were kids, and they're still targeting us, because they're not really, most of what they're producing isn't for the kids. It's for the adults, even the small stuff. Like, they got the new Fisher-Price Little People, or, they're figures now, but it's like Kiss.
What kid is gonna get that? What 3-year-old wants that, or 2-year-old wants that?
To some of the stuff that they have. There was another one I saw recently. I'm like, what in the hell is this? Because I can't remember what it was. It was something that almost kind of offensive, but I remember, they're really not expecting you to give this to a 2-year-old. That it's adults that they're targeting, and they're making more stuff now than they did when we were kids. I mean, what are they on, like, wave 200 for the Black Series or something? It's
crazy
for Star Wars, but
and they're expensive. They're really expensive.
Star Wars figures as were made in the 70s and 80s, it pales in comparison to even the first few waves of Star Wars figures that have been put out for the adult market. It is. It's almost everything is being targeted at nostalgic adults, as far as, like, they'll actually.
Well, they got the pockets, right? They have the deep pockets where I mean, when we were kids, right? So you either had to beg your mom and she'd tell you no, or tell you to if you clean your room and do whatever, maybe you get something. But I always went up to my grandmother, because whenever my grandmother came, not my father's mother, you're not getting any toys. You don't need toys. You need clothes. You need plaid pants, and you need Buster Brown shoes. I'm like, I don't want any of that. But my other grandma was like, oh, can we have that cereal? It's, she's like, yeah, you like that? Yeah, we love that cereal. Some crappy cereal we didn't want, like cornflakes, but it had a toy in it. And we just asked her to take the toy out, and she would do it. So I'd always hit my grandmother up for stuff like that, to try and get it with that, guilt trip, I guess. But you're right. It's all going towards adults. We have the pockets right now. They have collector's corner, right? Or whatever it's called, collector's section in Target and Walmart.
Does it?
Yeah.
And that's all.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
GameStop and ThinkGeek, that's all it is. Even Hot Topic, all of that stuff. Yeah.
And everybody wants Toys R Us to come back, and it's like, what do you think they're gonna put in Toys R Us?
Nothing.
You're not gonna have, like, a store the size of Walmart full of G.I. Joes and Masters of the Universe and Star Wars, Star Trek, and all of that other stuff. That's not gonna be there. So a little mall-sized store for Star Wars Black Series and Marvel Legends is more than enough.
Basically, if they brought Toys R Us back, it would be ThinkGeek. So who cares?
They actually I saw a billboard by me actually last week, which I was shocked. It said find Toys R Us, because Toys R Us is out here, right? I guess they just have it in Canada, but they said find Toys R Us. My wife works at Macy's, and they're putting it in her Macy's. Like it's probably going to be like, one spinny rack, with stuff on it. And I mean, I'm going to tell you, like, when I started my professional career and what I'm doing, Toys R Us was a client of the company that I work for. Man, I'm going to tell you, this is the truth. They were so solicited because the amount of money they had was insane, that I remember them saying, yeah, we'll buy this stuff, but you guys have to get us hockey tickets and take us to dinner. And I mean, but not like cheap, like all this really expensive stuff. And the vendors were like, yeah, we'll buy it for them because they're going to spend millions of dollars with us, to do it. And now, like, Toys R Us is gone. I mean, just seeing stuff change like that. It's KB Toys. They didn't always have like the greatest stuff at KB's, but like Dave was saying, you could get the best discount there. I mean, I love when I get a box and it says KB Toys on it, $2.99.
KB actually was all toys, and that's the argument that I made. People got upset with me, but I did a video on that when they were like, oh, because there was a ton of videos pandering to it when they made that announcement last year. Oh God, Toys R Us is coming back. Oh. And getting wet between the legs over it. And I'm like,
it's a family show, David. It's a family show. I'm holding my vulgarity back.
Maybe they peed.
Please excuse him, ladies and gentlemen.
But the thing is, and I said that's not what's going to happen. It's going to be the same thing as like when FAO Schwartz came back, and all it was a section, was like a shelf with some teddy bears on it in KB. Not KB.
That's in Target now, David.
Target's got that now, and it's all it is a shelf with some like puzzles and some teddy bears. And
I'm like, I remember being a kid going to FAO Schwartz. I think they had one in Philly.
FAO Schwartz, there was one in Boston, and it was like
ride the train.
Yeah,
I mean, it was great. It was like it was a kid's fantasy come true. Yeah. And I was like, oh, here's a shelf with a teddy bear on it. I'm like, oh. Yeah, okay. I mean,
that's all it is. They just, and I said, this is what's going to happen. And everybody's like, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's exactly what Macy's did. Put a Toys R Us sign in their toy department, and that's it.
It's trying to get that last drop of blood, out of that stone. And I'm like, I mean, to me, the saddest day is going to be when that stuff disappears. Like, listen, I have an IT company, and I can tell you I hate computers. I mean, I love what I do, but I'm so sick of computers by the time I get home that the only thing I do is web page and the live streams. But or if I have to do client work. But to me, people go, oh, I love being home and shopping online. It's delivered to your door. I'm like, that's nice. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm the kind of person that likes to go to the store. I want to pick it up. I want to see it, because the picture always makes it look like, it's gigantic. And then you get it, and it's like this big, and it was like $200. You're like, what? And I like to take it home immediately. I really like to take it home. As a matter of fact, I sent a link to one of the guys in the group, and I said, hey, that thing you're looking for is on eBay. He's like, I don't buy on eBay anymore. I want it now. When I buy it, I want to go to the store and pick it up. I don't want to get it and wait for it. And plus the risk of damage and all that stuff, or it's left out in the rain, which happens. But yeah, I mean, I think it's so sad that the whole, I get online shopping, don't get me wrong, but people don't leave their homes. It kind of affects you socially as a culture. It affects your interactions. And, I think people need to get out of the house a little more, and you need stores like that to do that. I mean, I meet friends in the store like that. You and another kid will look at the same toy and you become friends with them, that kind of thing. Not anymore. They're adults. Now we fight for those things. Oh, you buying that?
You can't be his friend because you got to stay 6 feet apart.
Have to stay 6 feet apart. You got to dive for that toy before he gets a hold of it, that kind of thing.
Don't touch that kid. Get your hand sanitizer.
We went to the Toys R Us. Didn't we go last year? Because I think they said it was going to be last year, and we went to the mall to Macy's. And
it's just a banner.
Yeah, it's a banner, and it was like 2 gondolas back and front, and that was it.
Jeez.
That's all that it was, and it was like what everybody got happy about.
I think it's I think that's just to lure you in, and then there's nothing. I mean, but it's almost like it's the same crap. They just put a Toys R Us logo on it,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
they kind of suck you in. And I think kids might. I don't say. And I wonder if they're like really pandering to kids, or they're trying to get adults to come in and look at it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with that, but I don't find like. I mean, if we ever get back to that, I assume it's just going to go away. We've talked about this. Like, are we the last? Well, maybe not us, but maybe the guys that came after us with the 80s, collected action figures or had action figures in the 80s, like the He-Man stuff. Are they kind of the last wave? Because there were people in the 90s, but I remember in the 90s, I was, in my 20s buying stuff, versus kids. I mean, video games kick in, and these kids live in there. My stepson lives in his room,
I think the last vintage of it was like about 97.
Yeah, and then
even
I mean,
you could see the difference. Even like have a bunch of toy fair catalogs, you can see a big change after 97 with even how it was presented in the catalogs. They went from like these big splash pages, little pictures like this, because they didn't care. They didn't.
I mean, is it if you don't go to video games, you're a dead company? I think there'll always be some percentage of people that will be looking for that. The question is, can a business survive with the amount of people that want to buy, certain action figures? They did those remakes of the Masters of the Universe, right? That were at Walmart forever, and then they basically clearanced off Skeletor and He-Man because they had so many. And I'm like, oh, they're done. And then all of a sudden they started popping more up, but I'm like, I don't know any little kids that are looking for that. I just see grown men in there, like, probably grabbing bunches of them to scalp them,
Yeah, because that was the whole key to it, was that with a few exceptions, most of them were based on a property that could be identified by a young person. They knew kids were watching it, unless you were Migo and you did anything like Love Boat, and you're like, what little kid wants to play with Captain Steubing and Isaac?
How many of those did they sell?
Not very many, but most of them were connected to some kind of property they could identify with, unless you're talking about like I don't know, Fisher Price Adventure People had no property, but they were still really popular. But Star Wars and G.I. Joe and whatever, but there's no properties currently, and if you do have something, it's still targeting an adult audience, it seems.
I mean, do they even have any real cartoons for kids anymore? I mean, other than what you find on YouTube and stuff?
I wouldn't trust them, because it's going to be chock social and political propaganda now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you're right. I mean, my daughter's on YouTube. She doesn't even watch regular TV anymore. Stepson's the same way. It's all streaming videos and so on. It was funny, Dave. I was looking up Durham like 3 days ago, and there were apparently Flintstone figures they made, little small Flint carded figures. They're like 1980 or something. And I'm like, oh, these are really cool. I'm like, they weren't too bad in price. They were okay, but I'm like, it's way too many to find, and it was just impossible. And then I'm thinking, like, that's something like a kid probably would get if they knew the Flintstones in the 80s, because the Flintstones goes way back in time, right? Yeah. So it's still one of those things. I think they're just, they go for the adult market. Even the Star Wars figures now. How much is a Star Wars figure now? Like a basic one's what, $12, $15?
Yeah, almost $30, I think. Unless you
$30? I mean,
you get the retro collection, I think those are like what, 18 to 20 or something.
Right, so I mean, you can't you get one stormtrooper. I mean, we were little, we wanted a couple stormtroopers so they could walk around with Darth Vader and protect the Death Star. I mean, $30, man. If that stormtrooper is gonna have a lot of duties, because he's gonna have to be moving all over the building. Because who's gonna buy? You can buy five stormtroopers for $150. I mean, that's crazy.
And I bet if you pose them, you break half of them up too.
Yeah. Nowadays, they tell you with these toys,
no durability.
Get the blow dryer. You got to soak it.
Yeah.
And why should I have to do that to have a figure?
You're right. I actually, there was actually what do I have? I think it's the Aurora Karate Men from the 70s. Those like G.I. Joe fighting robot looking. Inside there, they actually, in the manual, and actually even in the Remco Monsters, if you look at the instruction or the little paper that comes with it, it tells you that if you pop a leg off, like a leg could pop off, but how to put it back on. Like, it's not like, hey, it's broken, you're screwed. It's like, oh, if it pops off, just snap it back on. I mean, so obviously kids were pulling legs off the toys or pulling arms off or whatever, but how to actually put it back on. Where today it's broken. Oh, it's broken. Well, go get another one.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
That's you know, again, that's something I did the business model. I did a video on that, an extensive video talking about because I used to work for Frito-Lay, and there's, for those of you who haven't heard this, there's a 3-tier model of business, and PepsiCo made us take a seminar on it because I was a skilled processor, because they're real proud of this. There's anybody who manufactures anything, there's 3 sections, and it's got different tiers. It's quality in material, in presentation, the way it looks, smells, tastes, feels, whatever, right? Packaging, all of that is quality. Speed or quantity. Are we getting it out? Can you find it? Is it available? And then price. And the PepsiCo says you can do any 2 of those. You can't do all 3. Something's going to be sacrificed. So, which is true.
Isn't that a shame?
And in their case, but you know, the logic here is, in their case, we're going to give you really good quality. You're going to be able to find it because there's Frito-Lay on the shelves. You want Fritos, you can find them. But the price, well, the price is going to be up there because we do it fast and we do it high quality, as opposed to Walmart. Walmart is actually their biggest competitor because they counterfeit all of Frito-Lay's chips. So it's
now, wait a minute. They got hot dog chips. They have dill pickle chips too. They're horrible. Fried chicken chips they have. I tried them. I was like, I gotta buy these things. They were horrible. Yeah, but you're right.
But with Walmart, the model changes. It's cheap, it's available, but the quality is not there.
Sucks.
So you lose one. You lose however you do it. You're going to lose one. But as long as you can do 2, you're doing okay. Show me a modern toy company that is following even one model.
Yeah.
They're not cheap. No. You can't find them. And the physical quality is crap.
Yeah.
They fall apart when you touch them.
And do you think that, so, I mean, besides the fact that all the, logistics of getting stuff out with all COVID and everything, but are these figures not, because I remember pre-COVID, a lot of these were the same conditions. These things are not making it to the shelf because the stores are not putting them out. They're not buying them because they don't think they'll sell. They just can't produce them.
There was always an excuse. It was going before that, and it's during, and it's still happening. Yeah. And the argument even during COVID was, how come McFarlane stuff gets on the shelves?
Yeah.
He always got it on the shelves on time. But didn't, because they saw an opportunity to be lazy about it. We'll hold your money, and well, you'll get them sooner or later.
That drives me crazy. That's why I don't like that pre-order stuff. Like, pre-order once in a while is fine, but I don't, like we were talking about before, I don't like the full pre-order model, because I feel like, all right, you get excited and then it doesn't get, it's, you may not get it, right? Oh man, they need 10,000. We only got 9,998. I thought you guys were going to do it. Did you do it? No, I didn't, and then people are getting upset. And I'm like, yeah, no, I like stuff to be out there. And I think if you do a good quality product and you make it available, I think, at least I'm willing to pay a little more for it because it's a good quality. It's going to last, as opposed to, listen, if I'm buying potato chips, I'm going to have a party. I'm going for the cheapest ones. No offense to Frito-Lay, but it's the big garbage bag size of Walmart pack. What's that?
It all depends on who the guests are.
Right, exactly. So I'm okay with that because I got more money to put towards toys. Now, you can look at my collection and say, well, based on the crap that you have there, some of the knockoff junk that if you sneeze, it'll fall apart. That's probably not the model that I'm following. But I think a newer stuff, if they were to make it, I'd be okay paying a little more. I don't mean paying, $200 for a G.I. Joe. Like, that's just out of range. For a collector, I think you'll pay a little more. But if you're getting something, I mean, decent price, decent price, I think I'd pay a little bit more, as opposed to getting something junky that when it arrives in the mail and it's in the bubble, the arm falls off or the hand falls out or it's broken at the elbow or something. It's like, how the hell did that happen? It must have got shook a lot when it was
$100 for a new Mezco figure and the knees buckle when you pose them the first time. You know, stuff like that. It happens.
Yeah.
Or that HasLab, that which one?
The
with
Sentinel.
the Sentinel, where the knees were popping off, and people paid what, $500 for that
Or
thing?
I don't remember, $300 or something.
300,
but
whatever.
yeah, the ratchets didn't work. So when you'd stand them up, you just kind of fall. The knees wouldn't stay.
Don't they quality test this stuff before? I mean, especially if you're a company like, if you're a bigger company that's making stuff, like you would think they would quality test that stuff.
And while you were on the subject of the knockoffs, they still followed the model back then because it was available and it was cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The quality just suffered, but they still hit 2 out of.
But they usually had good card art. They had good card art. I don't know if they had the same guy painting for every company. I mean, that was the other thing too. It's like they didn't just draw it; they painted this stuff. Like somebody painted these things, and there was a team of people who like said, "This is good," or "This is not good," or whatever. It's like, "Oh, that doesn't look like Kwai Chang Kang. Go back and do it again," And then we're gonna put on a 97-cent card that sits in Woolworths or something, or 5 and Dime down the road. I think
a photograph, it would be like a whole diorama. Someone would sit there and like the old Kenner Scouts or the Ferga OK Mike.
Yes.
Because somebody would build a whole model.
Oh yeah.
And put a background and everything and do actual like 70s action figure photography.
Yeah.
Just to dial it in.
Those Empire Toys Jeeps that I have with the boxes, like most of them were like the Sunshine Family or something. They put out the Jeep and they put out and then they built a little, whatever they built, a little field or whatever. And they stole Sunshine Family figures and they stuck them in the driver's seat. And they took nice pictures and, and then they illustrate on the back what was on the front. Like people took time to do it. Now it's like, well, how quick can we just slap this together and get it out? I mean, that's really what it is. As fast as you can to make as much money as you can, I think is a lot of what happens.
Yeah, but you got to blame the buyer. And I know me, myself too, because we buy it. Yeah. And, it was a time when, and you saw it a lot in the 80s with those parents and even the kids, they would write in, hey, this figure isn't doing right. And then the companies would fix it. But now we know that the figures don't do right. You go on Facebook and you go on Twitter, you make YouTube videos complaining about it. And the companies are like, oh, well, what do I care?
They don't say anything. Yeah, sometimes they don't even respond. I'm like, how can you deal with the negative publicity? I guess negative publicity is better than no publicity. But I'm like, if I was running a company, and I'm not going to go into names, but if I was running a company and I had problems, my immediate reaction would be like, hey, tell me what's happening because obviously there's an issue. What can we do to make you happy to fix that? All right, I got 15 people that say of the 500 figures we sent out, 15 showed up with broken right elbows. Okay, something's going on. Now, it could be costly, but let's go back and figure out what that is. I know it takes time and money and effort and so on, but if you truly care about your consumer and you want to have a surviving company, you have to care about your consumer. You have to listen to them. And you could pretend to listen to them. That's probably something would be enough. Yeah, but some they just don't.
That's how you ended up with swivel arm battle grip on the raw GI Joes, because the thumbs kept breaking off. And before they even got to the next wave, they corrected that problem because they got consumer complaints about it. And okay, we'll do this so they can hold the gun so the thumbs will stop breaking.
Yeah.
And that's like smart, right? You want to please your people that are buying, because what I think a lot of companies forget, and I'm not mentioning names, is that customers pay your bills.
Yeah.
If you don't have any customers, you don't have any money. Your product could be the best thing in the world, but if you don't have customers.
I think adult collectors have just gotten complacent and they allowed themselves to be bullied, quite frankly. I just wanted to answer Axel Foley here really quick. See, that's kind of what I'm talking about, because he's like action figure photography from the 70s. That's if they were going to take a picture of the toy, this is how they would do it, as opposed to doing a drawing. So somebody had to build that.
That takes effort. That takes effort and an idea, and it's got to look good. It's like it's crazy, the kind of stuff. Like now it's like, okay, so I think my wife got me this because I mean that's it. Like, I mean, like seriously, I said to her, I said, because I don't buy them. She bought, and I'm like, I wouldn't buy that for the packaging. It's terrible. The figure's like whatever, but the packaging stinks. And then you take out I don't know, Dave. We pick out. I don't have anything floating around here. I'll take one of these. Here, let's get one of these because they're as crappy as they come. But come on, get off there. You take this 97-cent, Cycle Cop, But look at that. Look at that card art. That guy's, he almost looks like the Terminator, doesn't he? In a sense, the T-9000. Yeah. And then they put a little thing on the back. There's a swivel arm and stuff, but, automatic push button, quick. Like they got that sunburst thing to like, check it out. That guy, you don't see that anymore.
Yeah, a lot of effort went into that card.
Yeah.
Somebody was a very good artist.
The companies cared. Now you have these companies that'll get on YouTube and tell you, oh, if you can't pose your figure, just soak it in some hot water. Use a hair dryer. It's like, why should I have to do that? You should have
figured all that out before I bought it.
Right. I'm not buying a lawnmower so I can take it home and have to like change the tires to a different size and put a different blade on because right out of the package it doesn't work. Like it should be working. Now, if they say this is an adult collectible and not to be played with, because it's crappy or fragile, okay, still, then you decide, well, it's $49. Well, that's too much, or it's $5. But still, if you're selling a toy.
Hot Toys is an adult collectible. I don't expect to pay $400 for an Iron Man and have his arms come off while I'm posing him, which happened to me in an unboxing. And I wasn't being rough on it. They just popped out. That's
and hearing it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you saw that, guys. I'm holding his arm. I'm going to try to jam this back in here, and we'll see what goes on. But to me, I don't care how good it looks. That's a staple of the quality.
Yeah, I agree. And you would think that would be worked out, especially if you're selling I don't know what those figures go for, but I think what are they like in the $400 range or something? Yeah, I mean
$300-$400.
Yeah, listen, it's not it's not all the money in the world, but that's a lot of money for an action figure.
Yeah,
it's a lot. And you have a smaller audience to target. I think today with the fact that with online and stuff, because when they put pictures online, right, it's probably the best picture, or it's a small picture, or maybe the best picture they ever took. I think they just figure like people are just going to buy them. You get this. Somebody said in the chat I was looking before that you kind of get this kind of craze to the greed to get it. I got to get it, and you don't really care. And then it shows up, and you're like,
yeah, it always looks good in the picture.
But then you have people that are loyal to that brand. You got people diehard Hot Toys fan, diehard Mego fan, diehard G.I. Joe, and they're gonna buy it just because it's that brand.
And you can't tell them nothing.
Yeah,
it's just they get mad at you for calling out the mistakes, and it's like, and that's what people pick on me about making fun of Funko. But I don't have a problem with the product. I have a problem with the company. That's the issue. You like Funko, that's fine. But if they're pulling an okie doke on you, you should be upset about that. Did you
ever see that place where people work at Funko? The kind of stuff they have.
No.
Go online and look up their YouTube. That place, they got bowling alleys, and it's an amusement park for adults that work there. They got the money rolling in. It's crazy. But I mean, I agree with you. I think with the online thing and like, let's just get it there and we'll just get it shipped out. And I don't think they really care anymore. I think, I did this I put this up today actually about, customer service and stuff and other industries that I work with. Yeah. But I think it's just kind of lost. It's it's not like, hey, we want a quality product that a kid's going to go home and like, mom, look, and I got a good value for my money and I'm going to tell my friend and he's going to get it. And we're going to have our TV commercial. Now it's like, throw it on Amazon. Yeah, make a YouTube video, put it on TikTok or Instagram, and just take your chances with that. I mean, it's just kind of the whole thing's being like watered down. I don't know how long it can survive. I guess there'll always be something there, but it's definitely taken a huge turn in another direction for sure, especially the toy stores. There's mom and pop toy stores. I love those things. Love them. They're the best places to go when you're a kid, other than getting ice cream, I think.
Ice cream is always on the top of the list. Ice cream and pizza.
Yeah.
But let me ask you here also, redirecting a little bit. Do you have any favorite toy lines? in your collection? Are there any that really jump out? Like people ask me, and like one of my favorites is the Remco McDonald series. I love those.
Yes.
Do you have any favorites that, like, if you had to choose?
Oh, that's a question.
No,
if you only have one line.
I'm not going to do the if there was a fire, which one would you grab one? But if you had like if you were going to start, let's say if you were going to start over and you're like, okay, here's 5 or 6 that I'm going to start with. What's your favorites? What jumps out at you the most?
The Tomlin figures.
Sure.
The Fighting Furies. I like the Western ones better than the Pirates, the European ones. Honestly, David, as crappy as the Durhams are, they would definitely they would always be on my list. I don't know why the Durham industry
Well,
figures.
amazing they've held on. If you got one carded,
yeah, I mean they're cool. I like them. Recently, the GI Joe, the Adventure Team, and the 60s, 70s GI Joes, I've really gotten into a lot. And then honestly, the Mego Flash Gordons, the original Mego Flash Gordons, though. Whatever that, I don't know if it's a color with those. I don't know, because I loved watching Flash Gordon as a kid. The fact that those would probably be the ones that I like the most. Yeah, I would have to say that.
Did you ever watch the Saturday morning Flash Gordon?
The animated ones?
It was like 1970.
Oh, they had the figures. Yeah, they had the figures from those that they made, right?
That's one of the best Saturday morning cartoons ever done.
Yeah.
Really?
Watch the first season of that. It's filmation, but it's done in full rotoscope.
Oh wow!
So yeah,
in the 70s.
It's done in full. They really put a lot into it. The musical score, the voice acting, the entire first season is one story, and it's done serial style, where they reintroduce you at the beginning of each show in last week's episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's filmed in full rotoscope, and it looks like at a glance you can't even tell it's animation almost sometimes. It's so well done.
Are they cliffhangers or no? They actually part of the story.
They cliffhangers.
Yeah,
they are.
It's done like a serial.
And it's on Tubi. If you have Tubi.
Yeah. I'll check that out.
It's on there.
The second season's okay, but they changed the format, so it's not the same.
Yeah.
But the first season is gold. It's worth watching the first season.
I'll have to check that out. I literally bought some DVDs from guys off eBay for like $4 with the first season of the Buster Crab, Flash Gordon, and so sit there and watch those at night. And you learn things like Buster Crab did all his own stunts back then and all that kind of thing.
I think most of them did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they really had stuntmen at that point, right?
No.
That was kind of the thing.
Well, there was no union anyway. But
that's for sure. That's for sure. Definitely. But I think with those lines, they're probably the ones I'd probably focus on. I'd ask you the same thing. I can't imagine with all the stuff.
And it's hard, but there's certain things that really, really stand out. Like I really like my Inhumanoids. I really like the Shogun, the Mattel Shogun, especially the Jumbo Machinders are pretty cool. Even though David Alexander hates them, so he says. The Remco McDonald's. $6 Million Man. There's a handful that just they really grab me, or that really have a good vibe or a good connection to the time period. Or you see the where is it up here? The Mattel Suckerman.
You can't see
that just screams 1970s. It's such a cool, quirky toy.
I think that's the one Ray K steals that they threw at his back window and it smashed the window. He did a video about it.
It says on the box not to throw it at glass.
Yeah, they threw it at the plate glass window for a sliding door. Him and his brother. No, not to break it. And I think he said, I think if I remember correctly, and he said it broke the window. Which I was like, man, that would have been a bad day. Those Remco ones, I have that box train. I mean, the box is
it's here.
I love that thing, David. I don't know what it is about that. The head. I don't even know what kid wants a toy with it. We can bob the head with a little.
Oh, they can nod. Yeah,
they can nod. But I'm like,
extra point of articulation, but those things are fantastic.
They're very, very well done.
Well, that back then McDonald's meant something different. It's kind of like how Disney, once upon a time Disney was the Magic Kingdom. It's not anymore. But if you were alive during that time period, you get it.
Yeah.
You get what that means. McDonald's was like that. They had the Playland. They had their theme characters. You know, I'll grab one for people who haven't seen this.
Yeah.
Just to give
you, because they did. So they're the characters from the '70s. So you had Grimace, Hamburglar, Mayor McCheese, Big Mac, the Professor. Yeah, these are fantastic.
Who wouldn't love that? That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
they're really, really good. They're really good. The play sets are good, and wow, this like perfect.
And the play set's amazing because it has a real working
train. It's so big, I have no place to put it, so I put it back in the box. It's got the train you wind up, it goes around. Yeah. It's got like a little tray with McDonald's food on it.
Yeah, you can. I think you can see it.
Yeah, it's right here.
You have it out?
No, mine is sealed.
His is
sealed. You have your sealed. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mine's not sealed, that's for sure.
It took forever to find one sealed. It took years.
Yeah, I can imagine.
He opened it though. He opened it and got it and put it together. We got a video.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, you're thinking of the McDonald. You're thinking of the Play School Familiar Places McDonald's.
Oh. Yeah, okay.
I got that place.
Oh, you never opened that thing?
No, that one is sealed. Yeah,
oh, wow.
I don't mess with that one.
I think I have pictures up on the website if you want to see it open. What you got on the back of the cards? It's cool because it's got that cardboardish paper like
the backdrop,
right, with the snaps on it.
Yeah.
But the snap, you only use the snaps twice because it's a snap mounted into cardboard. So you got to make sure you pull the snap and not the cardboard. It just rips out. It's a very cool set. It's definitely mine. Actually, the guy I got it from, I guess he gave me like extra parts. I think I got like an extra train in there and stuff. And I probably should. I thought about like finding somebody who might want them. And I'm like, well, if mine breaks, I'm never going to find another one. So if the track breaks, I'm just keeping it. A bunch of extra crap in there. More crap in the basement, if you will, that I have down here. But that's a really good set. I don't think that was Remco, right, David? That was
Remco, 1976.
Yeah,
way back today.
That was one of the first like McDonald's action figures toys that wasn't really a Happy Meal type thing, right, or something.
It's literally the only McDonald's action figures, except for I want to say in 2006 or 2008, there was a company that made a homage to those figures, and they really just made them again in like box form.
Okay, yeah, because somebody's making those figures.
Yeah,
in the last 10 or 15 years, like I said, that they're making those McDonald's figures on the card again, and I'm seeing on eBay. I'm like, that's not an original. Like, it's a little different. Like, you can, if you know what to look for, but if you look at it, you'll be like, oh, that's an original from the 70s. No way.
No.
Yeah.
So what are you going to be working on next year as far as action toys and collecting?
Man,
any specific goals?
Yeah, you got a goal, a holy grail you're looking for that you're saving up all your pennies and praying to win the lottery for?
Well, yeah, I'd love more space in the basement, but since my daughter took over half of it, that's kind of out. I've been getting more of the G.I. Joe stuff, and the one thing that I'd love to get again, actually two things I'd love to get. One is the Search for the Mummy's Tomb back in the box, which is really expensive. I would like to get that. And I've been I've been getting these, these LGN Mr. Action G.I. Joe knockoff things. So I wound up finding two of these.
Okay.
And I got the blue sled, but they're missing parts. And all I wanted was the mobile base tower, which is the G.I. Joe training tower ripoff. And I'm happy to say that some stroke of luck it popped up on eBay, and I got it last night, and it's on its way. So I can't wait.
Oh, wow.
All right.
So now I got to find is the damn helicopter, gyrocopter, ultralight, whatever you call that thing, and the pieces for this. So that's kind of the goal. And then, of course, the other goal is to donate lots of money to variable charities so I don't have to feel guilty about buying all these crappy toys and stuff. No, but I think I'll get some more G.I. Joe. I would like to kind of do some more Bionic Man stuff or 6 Man Man stuff because I haven't done that. And maybe some more Lone Ranger. I gotta be honest with you.
Gabriel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like those. They're really cool. I probably should have said that before. Those are really good figures. I feel like they're kind of underrated a little bit, but I think they're great. Um, they made really good characters. It was a really good line. I had those as a kid, and I love them to death. But there's a lot to collect for those too, with the European ones and the ones here. Oh
Hmm.
man, it's
Yeah.
like another rabbit hole, of not coming out of ever. But yeah, I mean that's kind of I'd like to make more money so I could actually afford some of this stuff, so I could feed my family. My family hasn't eaten in 9 months because I've been putting it all towards toys. So but yeah, it's
Cool.
kind of that.
Any
Yeah.
goals for the media? You get your
Uh,
Facebook, your YouTube, your website.
yeah. So we'd like to hit 700 people in the Facebook group. We're like 20 people away right now. It doesn't. I'd like to do it before the 31st of December,
Okay.
just for the hell of it. If we don't get it, we don't get it. It's fine. I'd like to maybe grow the YouTube channel, but I I feel like now going into YouTube now, it's not an impossible task, but there's so much YouTube going on. Like there's 40 billion toy channels out there, and this, that, and the other. It's like whatever. So for me, I'd like to keep Migo Like good. And the one thing that I would really, I'll say it now because you're going to say it before, is one of the things I'd like to do is put together a get together, if you will. I don't want to call it a Migo Like meet or anything like that. I'd like to put a get together, get people, coagulated for a little bit, but make it more centered around the people that are going as opposed to the people that are maybe running it. Is that the right way to say that? Like the people that are coming, make it attention on, for them, more fun for them, as opposed to, oh, you're coming to see us and let us shower you with all of our goodness and allowing you into our venue. No, we want it to
You
be,
may be in my presence.
yeah,
For
exactly. We don't want any of that. We want everybody to enjoy and have fun. And I've spoken to a couple people. I actually reached out to a couple places as well. Some of them people know, but just to see what their interest might be. And people can come together and hang out. The one thing I do know, it's funny when people are behind a keyboard as opposed to when they're in person, right? And I'm not talking about arguing or anything, but when you meet them in person, it definitely brings a whole new level to it when you meet them. Like you're talking to somebody. I mean, I talked to Starbuck for like 6 or 7 years before I met him in person. I mean, it's just crazy when you finally meet. You really get a good grasp, and it helps you bond. And you can sit down and eat and grab a beer or whatever you want, and and share. And but make it like where it's nice and it's affordable or free, so people can just come in. Like I don't mind fronting the venue in a hotel or something, but let people come in and just enjoy themselves. It would be nice because I feel like we give people a chance to speak openly, like you guys do. You let people speak openly and
Yeah.
honestly, and as long as you're not being a jerk, I think that's a nice format, because too much people getting shut down for comments when other people don't like what they say, like, oh, you shouldn't criticize our toys. Well,
People are
I
too
mean,
sensitive.
So maybe
yeah.
like a gathering, not selling or anything, just coming together, hanging out. We're like-minded collectors, and we're gonna just hang out and talk for the weekend.
Yeah, I don't want to throw too many ideas because, as you guys know, there are members within our group that like to run back to other other organizations and spill the beans on certain things. But
Okay.
no, I mean, if people want to bring stuff and sell, that's fine. But I actually drew it out in a different format. So that's kind of like you go in and there's a bunch of tables, right? Like a toy show, and you go in and
Okay.
you have your little breakout sessions, but do something a little where it's kind of more centered in the room and people can gather together. And, you know, I like to make it an equal space for equal opportunity and that kind of stuff, to make it fun. But I mean, obviously, I can't do it by myself. It takes everybody to get involved and be like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll come." But you also have to realize we're all getting a little older. Sometimes travel's getting a little more expensive. It's not
Yeah.
easy. Hotels aren't cheap, and that's what makes it a little tricky with that. I actually ask people who do a lot of conventions and stuff, like, how do you afford them all? And
Selling
one of my
table.
yeah, well, one friend's like, he's like, we don't go out to eat. He goes, we never go out to eat. We only cook at home, and we save that money, and then we do all these. And I'm like, that's a great idea, but my wife would kill me. You know what I mean? She wouldn't let me do that. But it would be nice to get people together, because it is really nice interacting with people, like meeting you guys and all this stuff
Sure.
through here. I mean, if we didn't have these groups, who am I going to know? You
Mhm.
know? I probably wouldn't know too many people, but
people at work, you have to have shop talk all the time. You'll go crazy.
You can meet your neighbors and talk about how you need to cut your grass.
yeah, I mean, listen, I
That's
accidentally
what they get code compliance for. The neighbors put their brown shirt on and rat you out because your grass is a quarter
Don't
inch.
stop talking about neighbors. That is a hot button issue for me. Do not talk
I'm lucky with that.
Oh.
I got really cool neighbors. There's only 3 houses here on like this 20 acres, which is kind of neat. I don't know, 20 acres, it's split up, and I'm lucky that way. But I do remember I kept my collecting kind of a secret at work because I own the company, and I have a partner too, and co-owners, and you know, I didn't want them to lose respect if they found out that I was collecting stuff because I'm a pretty difficult boss. And then one day I said, "Oh, the hell with it." I said, "I won't be in for a couple days because I'm going to Migo meet." And they're like, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, "Here's a link, look it up." And when I came back, they were like, "What the hell did you just go to?" I'm like, "Were you going to a doll convention?" I'm like, "Yeah, more or less, whatever. It's action figures." And so now I'm like, did you guys all sign up to my YouTube page? They're like, "For what?" "No, we don't collect that." I said, "I need your subscriptions on the YouTube page. I'm going to fire you. I need the, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not, and they laugh about it, but it's really funny how people react because the initial thing I get is whatever. But I actually put my house up for sale this summer and then decided not to sell it. And it's really funny because I would in the basement and these guys can't see it all, but there's stuff all over. And I'd watch people when they come down just to get the look on their face. You get coming down. All right, let's check out the house. Look at it. They're like, "Is this yours?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's mine." "Oh, okay." And they walk around and there's that state of shock, like, "Oh, there's the 40-year-old virgin." And then when they're ready to leave and they want to talk to you about the house, like, like one guy actually wrote us a letter because they want us to sell the house to him. And he's like, he goes, "I really enjoy," he said, "I enjoyed your, what did he say? He said, "I enjoyed your collectible nostalgia," or something like that. And I wrote back to him, I go, "Thank you very much. But if you mean all the crap that's on the shelf in the basements, yeah, that's just, they're just for fun. But no, we really enjoy the stuff, and people, they kind of will like, a lot of times they'll slip in and be like, 'Oh, I remember that. I had that. That's really cool. Where did you get that?' One guy actually messages me now. He's like, 'Oh, I started collecting action figures now.' I'm like, 'What?' He's like, 'After I saw your basement, I didn't know you could do that.' He's like, he showed me some pictures. I was like, 'Well, good for you. Good for you.' And go to Dollar Tree and get some Final Faction. That's a cheap way to start some collecting, but yeah, he actually started collecting stuff to like, it is what it is. But I think when you get a lot of people of like-mindedness to come together, they enjoy it. And I think that, I think that's a nice thing to do. So hopefully we can pull that off.
By the way, Brian, I happen to know that cat food's very expensive. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Sanchez.
we take care of a lot of strays. That stuff is not cheap. It's gotten up there.
You have to go to Dollar Tree and get some cat.
Finicky cats won't eat that stuff.
Really? They got 9 lives there. They got 9 lives there, I think. Well, it's probably the brand that doesn't sell in the store. But
no, they want this frisky cat or whatever that
I don't know what the hell they want. It's all right. They eat it.
You guys have strays that come in the house, like they're house cats. I've got strays. They won't come near the house. They'll come for the food, but they will not come near the house.
Oh, they come in the house. They want to stay. You got to put them out.
It takes a while. It takes a while for them to get comfortable. And then you got like cats that were feral, and I'm like, sometimes they rear up on each other, and I can go and I'll pick one up and like, no, we're going over here, and move them around, and they're fine with that.
Wow.
And then people are like, that's impossible because
yeah.
You can't break up 2 cats that are fighting. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because if you don't want it, most people though, you don't try this at home because I've just got a lot of experience with it. But if you try to interfere with 2 cats that are fighting, you're going to get ripped to bits.
Oh yeah.
But you got to know what you're doing. But I can move them around if I need to, and they get.
I still can't believe they come in the house. Like I put cat food out, and somebody's like, just make it a little closer. They wait till I go inside, and then once it actually came really close, but as soon as I like tilted my head, gone. I mean, gone. And then the raccoon comes at night, picks it up with its paws, and runs off on its hind legs, moves it to the other side. I'm like, you got to be kidding. Like sometimes I hear them fighting, so I got to.
Our raccoon comes and gets the bread and dips it in the water and eat it.
Yeah,
In the
eat with their
water.
hands.
We'll
Yeah.
put stuff out, like we'll leave some bread out in the yard, and he'll gather it all up and run up on the porch and lay it out in front of the water bowl and sit there and dips it in the water and nibbles, and like
That's
he's got a
unbelievable.
sauce or something. And it's like, what are
Yeah.
you doing?
And then the other night I was out there putting their food out for the raccoon, and he comes up on the porch.
He
I'm
come
thinking
running
it's
up
the
to get it.
cat. And he just comes up and starts eating, and I'm still there, and I'm like, okay.
I mean, they're as long as they're not biting you or clawing at you, they're actually like really cool animals.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
But sometimes on the end of some of the videos we put up, I'll put like some shots of the cats, and there's a couple where I have, like, especially in the morning when they're all lined up waiting for the meal, and you open up that back door and it's like a tidal wave because they all jumping over each other trying to get into the kitchen, and they're all meowing and pulling on, biting my pant legs and stuff, and pulling
I
on me.
can't believe they do that. I mean, I got a ton of stray, and we feed them. Like I said, I had to at one point I had to stop because the skunks were coming around, and the skunks are fine because they're like cats until you scare them, right? I mean, you know, skunk sprays a half mile down the road, you can smell it. That's the problem. And I don't want to get sprayed going out. Like when I went out, I said to my wife, I go, look at this cat coming here. You know,
As
I've
long
never
as
seen a black cat with a stripe on it. She's like, that's a skunk. I'm like, I'm like, holy shit, that's a skunk. I'm like, holy smoke, that's a skunk. I'm
as
like,
long
oh,
as you
shut the
move
door.
slow, as long as you move slow, the skunk is gonna ignore you.
Yeah.
My fear is, oh, a cat's gonna come or a raccoon while I'm standing out there, and the thing's gonna go nuts and spray.
They know
And then,
better.
No,
Those other animals know better. Trust me,
yeah.
because when they come mixed around, like we'll have like a rack. The other night too, it was like 3 raccoons, a
Oh my
possum,
God.
armadillo, a big one. Like it looked like a motorcycle helmet. The damn thing, and they all just
Oh, you
like
guys had those down there.
they're all circling the bowl and just taking turns.
Yeah.
They stick to their group and they avoid each other. It's weird.
Yeah, the
Can you-
possum takes the food and goes into the cat shelter and eats by himself.
And the cat sitting right there.
Yeah, the
You
cat
walk right
sit
past
there
him.
and just watches the whole thing. They just stay out of the way.
It's like a damn
Is
buffet.
the armadillo like a friendly thing or no? Are they I
No,
never
we
seen
never saw him before.
It's quiet enough.
Yeah, he just started coming out, and we're like,
Yeah.
wow, we didn't know he
I
was.
didn't know you guys had those things.
Oh, they're
I
all
thought
over.
they only lived with the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. Crazy.
So let me ask you this.
Okay.
Grails.
Yeah.
Have you got anything that you're just like, oh, I wish I could find it. I would love to go to a yard sale and just stumble over this. You know, something that's on the back of your mind that you just wish you could get your hands on.
So there is this really cool figure made by Lincoln,
Mhm.
and there was one guy that had him. I think his name is Bad Bart, and I know our friend got one recently. I think he might have bought it from him for a very expensive price. He's basically a Lincoln figure. They put a tattoo on him. And he's like a bald-headed bad guy,
Mhm.
but I think he has like a snake tattoo on him. In the 70s, he would be an acceptable action figure. I don't think today you can get away with what he is. But anything, honestly, for me, if it was, for me, that would be a cool figure. But my thing is, I really like the More Toys figures. They're the big-headed, the oversized headed, kind of cheap A-high body figures. I do have one I found on the card, which to me was absolutely, I thought I never knew what it looked like carded. It's the bad guy that they put in the Kojak box. Those I would love, or any really cool G.I. Joe stuff. That training tower that I have over here, it's not complete, but the tower's complete, but it does have all the accessories.
Yeah, there's a lot of bits.
Yeah, I got that for $18 on eBay. And Brian Sanchez and Danny, I'm like, is that a good? Like, yeah, it's a really good price. And you look at him now, it's crazy, but I don't know. Like, I was so excited to get it, but now I have to. The grail for me is getting all the accessories. If I can get the accessories for these crappy little things, I'll be happy. The accessories for that, I'll be happy. And then I got to find the next thing, and I don't know what it is. I think the next thing is like feeding links to LPH for Bible figures and stuff that she's looking for. So I'm like, well, I got them. So let's get you to get your collection done. Start feeding stuff off. I do like helping other people when I can. I think it's
Yeah, I
nice when
appreciate that because
people
I
do that.
bought a couple because you showed me the link and I'm like, oh man, okay, but now I just need one. And
Which one is it?
Mary and Joseph, the 2-pack.
So I have one of those, and I didn't find it till 2 years ago. And in all my years of collecting, it was the only one I ever saw. It's got the little, so the little baby, the little baby Jesus. It almost looks like a Mr. Hanky that they
Yeah,
painted, in a thing. Um, it, it it is pretty cool, but yeah, as long as I know that, I'll keep an eye out for you because they're kind of, it's weird. They come up in like waves. Like you'll see like 5 packages of David and Goliath, and then you won't see them for like 8 months, and those are another ones people are separating. They pull those figures apart. I don't know if they're cutting
yeah,
the string, selling the arm, pulling the hand off, whatever. But those are cool. I know when I show any of the Bible figures, Daniel Gates, he's like, I can't deal, Lou. I have to get off your lives. I can't watch them. So he has those. But have you seen that? Did you see the Judah Maccabee KTAV Publishing House figure? Did you see that? There's a
no,
Bible figure. It's up there. I have it on the page. It's it's got the Blackbeard. Yeah, it's got the Migo Blackbeard head, but it's a squishy one. It's got this blue robe, I'll say a dress. It's got like a Star David. It has what almost looks like a soft, like a floral hat. It's a blue hat, but it looks like something a woman would wear in the South.
yeah,
And then he has the shield, and it would come with this Maccabee pin. And so I didn't know this. I knew there was the version with the green boots. Sorry, there was light green boots, dark
yeah.
green boots, and brown. And I have one of them. And then I was on a site, I put a link on a toy page, and somebody posts a picture of the same figure in a baggie, but the boots are different color, the dress it's a little bit different. I was like, oh, I'll never find that. And then 6 months ago, Dennis Glinsky, Toy Den, he says, I went to Goodwill and I found this. My wife found this figure, looks like Amigo. And I was like, oh my God, Dennis, how much you want for it? I'll take it. I want it, And I'm sure I paid more than what he paid, which was fine. But that was like, again, I thought I'd never find something like that. There's certain figures you just feel like you'll never see. Like maybe they were catalog only, and it showed up, and but
Yeah.
you have to get yourself one of those. They were really easy to find. They're getting to be a pain in the butt. Matter of fact, I think the lady when I bought it,
That one. The
what's
Judah
that?
Maccabee. Who made that? The Judah Maccabee.
It's KTAV Publishing House. The card is probably like 1 1/3 size times the size of this paper, and then you have this bubble on it. It's a big green card with a bubble, and then has the whole story of the Maccabee, and it's got the whole religious thing on there. I'll keep an eye out for him. I got it on the webpage. But yeah, I mean that's I'm like, everybody's like, who collects that crap? I'm like, I do. I'll buy it. Nobody else wants it. I'll buy it. If you don't want it, I'll take it. That kind of thing. And but that kind of stuff is the kind of stuff that I love running into. If I was to run into a flea market and see something crazy like that, I'd be happy. If I find anything that looks like a Mego or a 70s action figure at a flea market, other than a Star Wars figure, the little 3 3/4 or something, it's like an 8-inch kind of size, or Joe, I got excited because I'm like, I don't care if that thing's like the dog chewed its leg. If it's a quarter, I'll take it. You know what I mean? I'll take it. That kind of thing. So.
What about those Menudo figures?
All right. So so this is a thing where Brian Sanchez tears me apart over them. I have some of them. I think I have all or most of the red shirt figures. I have one of the blue shirt, and I don't have any of the disco shirts. And I had all of them at one point. So I had all of them. Oh, it's not a dress, it's a tunic. It was a height of fashion back. Brian Sanchez would know. Brian Sanchez is actually like 10,000.
Remember.
Yeah.
He still has
those Menudo figures. I don't know, David. I'm getting them. I'm getting them as I find them, but even they're going through the roof, and they're junk.
Are they?
I mean, they are junk. Yeah, they're
up. Wow,
they're crappy. They come with a microphone. They come with a little record, like a crappy like cereal box record, with a little message from Ray. And I'm like, I'm not putting that thing on my record player. It'll probably ruin the needle. It's like a piece of crap. But I don't even know which menudo that is, because those kids, like, I think they're allowed to be a menudo till like 13, then they turn, or 12 or something, then they had to put a new kid in. So I don't
Yeah.
even know what year that is.
Those are based off of the Saturday morning live action show that
I
used to
didn't
be
even know they
on,
had that.
No?
used to be on ABC. Yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
how do you know that? Dude, it's like
that's
it's
weird.
a treasure chest of information.
Yeah.
I mean, the boxes are, I show my wife is Latino, and I showed it to her, and she's like, "Oh, menudo." She's like, "What are you doing with those?" I'm like, "Aren't these cool? Is it what you listen to?" She's like, "We didn't listen to any of that crap." She's like, "We didn't listen to them. What are you, crazy to me?" So that's you guys listen to that. I'm like, "All right," but I have to get them just because, like, they're not on my top list.
Like,
But if I walked into a Goodwill and I saw them,
Mhm.
Yeah.
loose or not, missing a boot, shirt on, half shirt ripped off, leg chewed, hand ripped off, I'm buying it. Absolutely buying it. I'm buying it.
did you
I'm
hear
buying
that? I think I just heard MIB hit the floor.
Yeah.
He's like, all the water is, he's dehydrating like the guy in like Indiana Jones. He's just melting the eyeballs and everything from all that stuff. No, I think finding stuff like that, especially like at a garage sale or flea market, I can tell you was probably 15, 20 years ago. When you remember the alter ego sets from Montgomery Ward's for Migo, and they
Uh-huh.
were like, I mean, no kidding, they were like $1,500. One guy actually, well, so he wrote that he went out and he found them at a garage sale and he got them all for a quarter.
Who knows?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I find that very suspect with a lot of the claims that are made about stuff that's found at yard sales, because I haven't had any luck since the 90s. So
New
But
Jersey is cleaned out. We don't even have any good toy stores like that anymore. Like we had one called in Clifton, it was Outer Limits, and you could go in there. You could buy High Apes. You could buy Azark Hamway. You could find apes. You could find Migos. You could find good knockoffs, not Tomlins, but they have like the better, like the Azark Hamway stuff. And they had them gone, stores gone, and they just shut them all down. I think there's a few around here. Like there's a Zap Comics down the road for me, but they don't have a lot of old stuff. It's mostly newer NECA stuff, kind of
Mhm.
stuff that maybe they have some like maybe Masters of the Universe original figures or something. They kind of have those hard 3 to 5 inch, you know, Toy Biz figures that were out there, but
Yeah.
they don't have a lot of the Mego stuff or anything like that. So it's yeah, it was, I would love to walk in and find that. I do have dreams. I wake up like swear I'm sitting in a store. I just found every carded Tomlin, for $1, but no, then I just wake up and it's not even close. It's not even close.
yeah, I'm waiting for them to, 'cause something that the experts in the back room at the thrift store won't be able to look up on eBay because they won't know what it is.
Tell me that's not a shame. Oh,
It makes me sick,
Yeah.
but the I have that same feeling about the coliform aliens.
yeah. Are they hard to find? Is that the deal with them? Do I
Coliform
understand?
aliens are impossible. I mean, look up coliform aliens because they were remade for a convention a few years back, but the originals they go for so much it make you sick to your stomach.
Are
And
they
a lot
short?
of people like to associate them with the original Major Matt Mason, but it's not the same series.
Ah, okay, okay. I did see a really cool colorform set. Like I got some neat ones, but I found they made a GI Joe Adventure Team colorform set, which
Mhm.
is cool. It's actually got the training tower in the background, the helicopter, and I think the amphicat or whatever. And it's actually really cool. I was like, that I would probably buy, but
These are
I'm not
actual
spending $50 for it.
these are actual bendy action figures. They're
Oh, they're
called,
action
yeah,
figures.
the coliforms aliens, and they go
You're
for
kidding.
they go for a fortune. Made in the early to mid '60s.
I don't think I remember. Oh my god, I didn't realize that. I thought it was like a play set that was just really rare. Oh my god,
Oh
that's
no,
crazy.
that's why people used to think they went with Major Matt Mason.
Did you ever see them in person or?
No.
Oh, well, if you haven't seen them, I ain't finding them. I can tell you
Oh,
that.
they're
If it's something that has not crossed your pathway and all this, there's
yeah,
no way.
they are stupid rare. It doesn't even make sense. It's like they're up there with the Migo stretchy superheroes.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Wow. That's crazy stuff, man. Jeez. Oh man, times are changing. That's for sure. It's a shame. It really is. I feel like we're the last warriors doing this path of collecting before it just disintegrates into video games or whatever's coming next. If there's
Yeah.
anything that
Yeah, you never see them. You never see them carded. They're always loose, and there are reproductions.
gonna make me look on this thing,
Card,
right?
here's one. Hold on. Here's one on the card. This guy's got for 750.
Holy crap! I mean, if you're gonna spend $750 on that, you might as well lock it away because
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's like, wow,
Damn.
damn,
Look at it good.
damn.
but yeah, I would.
That's crazy.
You don't see them except for sale on eBay. I've never even seen one laying around at a show. Same thing as like I talk about with my product people. You know, I've shown before. I showed you the Count
Yeah.
Chocula.
Yeah.
I've never seen those at a show. You know, not even loose.
I wonder where all this like stuff is going to, like our collect. So I remember like starting and finding stuff more and more. I'm sure people have collected it, but like I started in '97 and I took a big break, and sold, and then started buying again. But I'm thinking for people that never stopped collecting, right? Like never lost their collection, never stopped collecting. Like, man, that's 20, 30 years. Where do you put all that shit? Like that's a lot of stuff. Like, where's it all go? Especially in like if it goes in bins. Like some of my friends, like I put them in bins and I stacked them. I'm like, how do you know what you have? Like some guys know. Other guys got like when people tell me they put in a storage unit, I'm like, to me, that's like you're just rolling the dice for either disaster,
Yeah.
mice, or theft. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I can't do that. There's no way it's going. Man, I had a townhouse and there was a little loft. And that was like a storage. I stacked everything up there. I'm like, I am not putting this stuff in the storage unit because I know what happens in a storage unit. They get ripped off, mice. So I don't care if it's somebody gets in there and ruins it. No, sir. They sell the place. No.
Or if it's not climate controlled, that constant temperature change is really dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a guy on YouTube. He visited a friend of his. I want to say he in New Jersey or maybe in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. But this guy literally has like every toy. You remember the guy, Ree's Toys or something? I'll send you the link from YouTube because he got it broken down into like 10 episodes of like an hour long. And he toured this guy's house, and this guy got everything on display. It's nothing in totes. It's impressive.
He's not married. I'm taking it.
I'm not sure. I'm
pretty sure he's not married. He's doing that.
And I mean, you sitting there, you're like, and he makes
it on shelves. Is it on shelves? Like,
yeah,
how do you display all that stuff?
He got it displayed. He got it on shelves. He got his whole basement.
I think it's primarily 80s and early 90s.
Yeah, but it's like
literally every single toy line that was released.
Every toy that was,
holy crap.
And he got a story for it. And he got like different rooms in the house because they went in other rooms where he got this in there and this.
A millionaire or something? Like a multi-millionaire kind of guy?
I don't know, but man, I'm sitting there.
Probably same deal as like me, like in the 90s. This stuff wasn't worth it.
Cheap.
You know, you could get that stuff super cheap. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was an impressive thing. And the guy, he took his time and he went through and he looked at every single thing. Yeah. That guy had a story for every piece he had. And it's nice. I'll find it and send you the link. Because like I said, it was probably between 8 to 10 episodes. Because he had to break it up because it was so much stuff.
I guess he's not having any house parties or barbecues with people going in the house, I'm assuming.
Lock that door.
Yeah.
That always makes me nervous. My daughter has her friends come over, and she's special needs. They come over, and fortunately, nobody's ever gone for anything yet. But my fear is they come over and go, toys. You know, they just want to pick them up. And some of the stuff I don't really care. But some of the toys you touch and they just fall apart. You know what I mean? Like, nobody in the basement. Nobody in the basement. Lock the door. Lock the door.
The anime collection, he put up on a video because he had some relatives over, and they
Ooh.
got into his collection room, and it was just the pieces were everywhere. But it was all like Gundam statues and stuff, and they were playing with it, and he estimated something like around 13,000 worth of damage. And it was just, I mean, they had this, I don't know what they did, but you could shovel your way through that room when they were done. And it was all nicely displayed and everything. And they got in there and no one knew. And the kids were in there just tearing up the relatives. I'd never talk to that family again.
I made them pay.
Yeah. We put like no entry, warning, live animals or lions or something. You know, we put stuff all over the basement door when the kids come so that they don't go down the basement. They stay out of there. Unfortunately, nobody's done it yet. But I did when I was selling. My biggest fear when I was selling the house, having people walk through the basement. I told the realtor, you need to stand down here because I don't want to see you. Oh, that's neat. Let me take that little sword. I'll go home with it.
Yeah.
I got a Captain Kid with no sword, you know? And I'm like, you got to stand down there. She's like, I can't monitor everything. I said, then nobody goes in the basement. Give them a video tour. That's it. You know, because my fear is somebody, I mean, listen.
Oh, yeah, you never know.
But kids, you never know with kids. They don't know any better, you know? Or
Yeah,
they should.
know better.
Oh, man, that's crazy. So, yeah.
But anyway, any final thoughts? We'll go ahead and we'll wrap up here in a little bit because we're almost at the 2.5 hour mark.
Oh my God!
I
think you're talking up, huh?
That's all right. Hey, give people a chance to know who you are and check out and I do recommend checking out the loose stuff. I always have I always appreciate it when somebody has a passion for what they're doing, you know, especially in the hobbies. So again, you know, My Mego Like on YouTube, on Facebook, he's got the Facebook group, My Mego Like, and he's got the website dedicated to, looks like a lot of foreign variants and things like that.
Crap. It's crap, David. It's crap. It's about 200 different pages of crap, and I've got like another 100 pages sitting in the queue that I'm trying to finish up. It's like it's every day I go in, somebody's like, "Oh, did you do this? Did you do that?" Oh, add it to the list. So as the list gets shorter, then it gets longer again. No, I mean, I would say, like, you know, I tell people, like, look, collect whatever you want. I've had people say, like, you know, like, hey, I was like, hey, go do a live in the group. Oh, I don't want to do a live. My collection's not that good. You don't know that. Show you just because somebody has some other stuff, you might have something they don't have. It's nice for them to see, share. I tell people, collect what you want. Don't be too critical of other people about, you know, their collections. So I like to watch your videos. I like to watch the comments. And as you know, I've had a few discussions with people who have been in the exactly, let's just say, the polite mode that they weren't in at the time. And, you know, it's good to have an open opinion and discuss, you know, but don't crash on somebody because they don't agree with what you say on the toy. Like, don't do this, don't do that. You know, I thought for a while, I thought Johnny would kill me when I was opening this stuff, but no, he's like, do your thing, you know, do what you guys do, you know? And I think that's really important. And it's good to get involved in groups, and it's good to, you know, to mix it up with in a good way, mix it up with other people. And you know, it's a shame what's happening. I don't know if we could ever get back to that, the way things go, you know, but who knows, you know, maybe, you know, history kind of repeats itself. I just wish toy companies would be a little more consumer oriented. Maybe that's the right way, as opposed to making that dollar.
Consumer friendly,
Yeah, they used to be. They used to care about what you thought.
Well, they had pride in their product, but now they don't even seem to care about the products they're putting out.
They do at Dollar Tree. The Final Faction figures are fantastic. You get a cartoon. You got it used to be $1. That's $1.25. There's a comic book. You get all kinds of. No, I mean, I agree with you. I think what happened was you went from. I said sometimes they probably should have been like living in the 40s or 50s, where people like really they put concern and, you know, love into what they did. You know, now it's like, well, how fast can we put out this cheap ass product to make the most amount of money to pay our investors, or to sell off the company before we're 32 years old and get the hell out, you know? And it's a shame. It really, everything's like so disposable today. And maybe that's kind of why we hold on to this stuff, because you know, you're capturing all this stuff. I mean, I don't know, I got stuff here from the 60s that still works. I mean, that's a long time. It's 60 some years before I was even born. And to have something like that, for me to find something that's even 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, that's still somehow preserved, whether it's in the box or not, to me is amazing. I think because parents like to throw stuff away, so
Yeah.
I think it's really cool to have that. And I hope people keep collecting. If you haven't told your family, your friends yet that you're a toy collector, my advice is time to come out of the toy closet and let them know. You'd be surprised what you get for Christmas when they find out. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, you never got me one of these before. All I got was a crappy old sweater. Well, oh, yeah, well, I know you like this, so I found this on eBay for you. I'm like, all right, this will work, that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
we thank you for joining us.
thanks for having me. You guys are awesome. So.
Next up, we'll have the next interview will be Kyle from Galactic Quest.
Yeah, but that's going to be on site. So.
Yeah, that's going to be preempted because he actually owns a comic book store. So we'll have to go out and do it. We can't do live.
Is he around you guys? You guys are like flying out, or
no, he's not far from us.
No, I'm not Pixel Man here, but
I'm taking the open by chance vintage helicopter, and looks like a G.I. Joe helicopter, but it's real. Too funny.
But again, yeah, we thank you for being on. Had a good time with you. Again,
you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. I have to say, you guys are awesome. You're really good people. I love watching your videos. I love that people follow you and stuff. But you guys are good people. I don't know how you guys put out so many videos so quickly. I really don't. I mean, I see David on there popping out like 12 videos an hour. I'm like, how the hell is he getting all this video out?
Not quite that much.
I mean, you guys got a lifetime of stuff in there to show. That's for sure. I mean, I don't even know if you guys probably got a third of what, or a fourth of what you guys have back there. But no, you guys do really good stuff. And thanks for having me out. Having me on. I really enjoy it. And hopefully I didn't say anything bad about Johnny that would upset him. Let's open a box in front of Johnny.
Right. Yeah, I know. He'll pass. Well, it's past time that he would be out of the basement anyway, because that's when the spooks come out. The spirits are down there.
Oh my God!
Sanchez, did you hear that? Get into Ray's house. Get into the tunnel. Start loading up. Get it out of Johnny's basement. Yeah. Oh man, that's good stuff. But yeah, thank you guys.
Johnny's a great guy too. He was fun.
Yeah.
But no, we've appreciated it. So we're gonna go ahead and sign off and watch out for our next interview.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.